New Jersey. Yeah, I got a little psychedelic thing going on with Instagram Live, but it's kind of cool. And I forgot to send something. Oh, my watch is dead, and I can't really do anything about that right now. And I need to, yeah, hold on a sec. Let me see. I didn't tell Josh that I was live. Maybe Josh will come on. Yeah, Josh, I hope you come on. If you come on, it'd be cool. If not, I get it. I hear you. I feel you. But yeah, I forgot to tell him that I was on today, and I was like, God damn it. But I was too excited. Well, I was going to go to sleep. That's what I was going to do. I was going to go to sleep, and I decided not to go to sleep. I decided to do a show because that's the way I rumble. That's the way I roll. How about this? Carolina 61-39 at the half. Great first half, hidden everything, and then they got outscored 53-39, but they hold on to win 192. Ellie Cadeau, you got to work on your fucking free throws, dude. You got to make free throws. He has zero. Hey, Rob Parker back again. Rob, you want to talk any sports? Bring it on. But he had 10 assists. He's the first freshman to do that since Kendall Marshall, the 2010-2011 season. They went 192 today. If you see I mean, yeah, so they beat, and it's the number one defense in college basketball. 100 points is 100 points. No joke. So Cadeau started first 3 games, 8 assists, 8 turnovers. Last 4 games, 21 assists, 1 turnover. He had 5 points. Dalton Net, who had a bad ugly ankle, looked like an ankle injury at the end of the game. He had 37. Harrison Ingram had 20. Baycott had a double-double, 22-11. R.J. Davis at 27. Listen, I'll take wins. A win's a win, baby. I love the wins. So we got to win. I got to see. I said we. I don't like saying we when I talk about basketball, but I wanted to see who they're playing next. And they're playing, I mean, they should be going, exams should be happening soon. So that should be happening momentarily, where we should be dealing with all the 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 break, going into, like, finals and all that stuff. When I was there, that's what usually happened. So I'm trying to see what happened. Yeah, Alabama women are up on tennis. No, that can't be today. Is that Alabama women versus Tennessee women? No, that's another. They made it Tennessee State versus Alabama A&M. I thought that was Tennessee versus Alabama. That's a little bit different right there. Okay, so UNC won, and I want to see if they play next. They're going to play next. Da-da-da, da-da-da. Yeah, I'm trying to get. No, not stats, you idiot. Let me see. Play-by-play, Gamecast. That's not what I want. I want to see if they're playing next in standings. They're going to play next. Yeah, great. Oh, wait, what are we in? December? Yeah, so next game is they host Florida State on Saturday. Damn. Then they play UConn in the Jimmy V Classic at UConn. And then they play Kentucky on the 16th. And then they play Oklahoma. So they got some games coming up, dude. And all ranked teams. Well, except for Florida State. They go against number 4 UConn, number 12 Kentucky, number 25 Oklahoma. So it's going to be a little bit of it's going to be stuff going on. Yeah, there's going to be stuff going on right now. So we'll see what happens. Hey, and I got a picture up on my podcast on Instagram. It is of Max Crosby's left knee, which is ginormous. And I'll tell you, he's played his ass off, but I feel like that this might be, the beginning of the end for him for the season, because his knee is so goddamn swollen. It's scary. It is very scary. Now, UNC today, 32 of 38 from the line, and the Vols got 16 free throws. You know that Tennessee's head coach is not going to be happy about that. What Rick? Who's the Tennessee coach? Help me out here. Well, I'm all alone today. I'm all alone. It's only me, because I forgot to get on my man. He's going to be upset at me that I did not get him to get on the show today. And it was not of anything. I just realized my watch is dead, and I'm trying to figure out where. Oh man, what is his name? How come I'm blanking on coach's name? Tennessee basketball coach. Tennessee. No, that's not what I want. How about the Pistons? 15th in a row they lost today. They lost to the Lakers, 15 in a row. Oh my God! I mean, that's yeah. And Rick Barnes, yeah, Rick Barnes, Texas, not a good. There's not a lot of love lost between those teams, and he's got to be pissed about that. That they got 38 free throws and he only got 16. So hey, shit happens. So they're UNC 17th. They'll move up 6-1, and Vols 4-3. Number 10 they'll probably drop. And Michigan sent me this today. Well, she told me to go to bed. She said it's too late, but I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to bed right now, so I'm going to do my podcast. Michigan has never trailed in a game this season. I mean, they really haven't played anybody great this season, so let's be honest. I mean, it is what it is, and shit happens on that front. Yeah. And Aaron Rodgers cleared for practice. They have 21 days to activate him from the IR. He's not playing unless they're playing for real. And Tommy DeVito could have got more money as an undrafted free agent from the Commanders than from the Giants, but he turned it down to go with the Giants. Thank you, Dov Kleiman. And one guy keeps talking like the Sopranos family. They're Italian family. I don't think Italian families like to be told they're the Sopranos. Sopranos is the mob and stuff. Oh, wait, does he want to come on? Oh, really? Rob Parker wants to come on. All right, Rob, what do you want to talk about, dude? If you want to come on, let's talk a little, what do you want to talk about? All right. Or maybe he's trying to get on, and is he trying to get on? Let's see if he comes on. Oh, my God. What's up, dude?
Hey, JD. How's it going?
How's it going, man? What do you want to talk about? Bring it on.
You're talking Aaron Rodgers. I mean, can't do college basketball. I don't follow it these days anymore. But talking Aaron Rodgers, could talk. I know the Mets signing Severino. Oh. Rangers won tonight. I'm a Knicks fan, so could talk them. Anything football, really.
Okay, you start off and we'll go from there. How about that? Okay, let me ask you a question. What do you think about Severino?
Well, I mean, he wasn't good last year, but
he was terrible.
I'm not concerned about the money. Baseball, no salary cap, and Cohen's got all the money in the world, so I don't really care. $13 million, but if maybe the Mets figured out something. Watching video with maybe he was tipping pitches or his delivery is off. If they could fix, Severino's got all the talent in the world. If they could fix what his issue was, I think it's worth the risk. It's just 1 year.
I definitely think it's worth the risk. Definitely. I mean, he has a lot, like you said, he has a lot of talent. I feel like he possesses, if he's on, he's really on.
Yep. And besides his first ever, if I remember correctly, his first ever postseason start against the Indians, he got shelled in the first inning really bad. But after that, he was really good in the postseason, from my recollection. I'm not a Yankees fan, but I remember him coming back in that series against Cleveland. I think he pitched the closing game of the series and pitched really well. So other than that first start, he's done well in the postseason, from my recollection, too. So it's worth the risk. As long as they get depth, as long as they have enough depth to where if he doesn't produce well, they can move on from him. I'm perfectly happy, especially a 1-year deal. He knows he needs to pitch well this year to continue having a chance at the start.
Oh, Rob, I love all this stuff. This is fantastic. So you're a Mets fan?
Yep. We have a mutual friend in Aaron.
Oh, okay.
A fellow member of the company. Yeah.
Excellent. And I always say the company wrong. So if you want to give props out to the company. I always butcher it.
Yeah.
I always butcher it. So let me ask you a question. So Met fan, who growing up, who was your favorite Met growing up? Did you have a favorite?
Like Piazza. I mean, that's a little bit into my childhood. I mean, I liked Mackie Sasser. Always stuck out to me. I liked him as a catcher.
Yes.
Howard Johnson, Tim Tuffle.
Hojo.
86 is my first ever sports memory ever, watching the 86 World Series with my dad, so I became a Mets fan that way. But when the Mets got Mike Piazza, that was just that was awesome, and him carrying us through, the 2000, getting the World Series and all, and I loved Al Leiter and that team, and of course, more lately loved DeGrom until he left. Now I don't like him so much anymore. But
my buddy is so pissed. He's like, God damn, he's going to get a ring, isn't he? I said, I think he gets. I don't know. I mean, he was on the team. He didn't play a lot, but he was on the team. So okay, so
he gets one.
And they got, and what's the other guy they got? I looked, Joey Wendell.
Oh. Yeah, he was a utility guy. Had a good year with the Rays a few years ago. Last 2 years, not so good. He plays second, third. I believe it's short. Utility guy, kind of replaces Guillorme. So hopefully they can get his offense turned around. And he's a really, inexpensive. So utility
Yeah,
guy.
$2 million plus. Yeah. So that now after last season, what are you feeling after the disaster? Are you happy with Mendoza as the manager going? What's your thoughts of him this coming season?
I honestly don't know enough about him. I mean, obviously he was with the Yankees, so he knows New York. So I guess that's some benefit. But with guys who are new, can you really judge them, especially in baseball? I mean, I think there's very few managers that do make a difference. I think some managers can, but there's not a ton that do.
Right.
Obviously, you see Bochy does, and I thought Girardi for a long time did, but I think a lot of managers don't make too much difference. So we'll see. I wasn't convinced that that Counsell was going to be the solution. I know obviously he was linked to the Mets because of Stearns, but I don't know. I feel like when you have your eyes set on one guy who's only managed in a place like Milwaukee where there's not a ton of expectations, that it's different coming to New York. And a lot of the times those big hires, I feel, don't always really work out. So we'll see with Mendoza. I think Stearns is smart. So, at this point, got to trust what he's doing, and we'll see. I think if they, I know they're looking at some experienced bench coaches. I think that could really be a big. If they can get an experienced guy, they can. That could be a big.
I thought they were going. What I read was Jonathan Gibbons. Is that Gibbons? Am I right?
Yeah.
That's who I read they were going after. So I guess we're going to see if he turns out to be the real deal. So I mean, not the real deal. I mean that he's more of an old school guy who's been around the game. So I feel like that has to be a positive for them going forward.
And so I'm looking forward. I'm really hopeful, and I really think they have a good chance of landing Yamamoto. He says he wants to play with another Japanese player, and the Mets got Senga, and Senga was fantastic. I expect Senga to have a better year because he doesn't have to adjust anymore, and the Mets obviously did a good job with balancing his days off and stuff, so I think that bodes well for bringing Yamamoto in. They can say, listen, we know you're used to pitching every 6 days there. We worked well with Senga. Senga pitched well here, and he wants to get paid well, and Uncle Steve likes to roll that money truck up. He's got no problem spending. So
he has no problem spending.
I'm hopeful they can land him, and if they land him, I'd be okay if they don't trade for Soto. I mean, I don't expect them to get everyone. I mean, usually that doesn't happen, but the minor league system is so stacked, especially Double-A. They got so many young guys. I really think there's a bright future for them.
So that's what Rob. That's what I ask you. Who do you guys have in the minors? Because I don't really. Who do you got? That's what I'm kind of curious.
Acuna, who's we all know Acuna. His brother is second base Double-A. They got a guy Jet Williams who was really doing well. Then last year, going into the year, he took a suggestion from a coach to change his swing a little bit, and it didn't work out so well in the beginning. He went back, and he's his shortstop. His swing went back to what it was, and he was hit really well. He always has high expectations, sets really high goals for himself, and he's always achieved them. And he wants to be in the major leagues this year, and whether it's to start or later in the year, I wouldn't be surprised if he's up. I know obviously not at shortstop because of Lindor, but maybe at second base. They also have the outfielders Gilbert, and I can't remember the other one they got in the trade in Houston, but those are guys who look really well, look really good. They have some young pitching. They have the catcher. I can't remember his name now. He was drafted a few years ago. I don't necessarily expect him to come up, but I wouldn't surprise if he comes up and maybe splits time with Alvarez. He's good defensively, and his bat overall, I mean, he's not Alvarez as far as bat-wise, but he is expected to be overall a good hitting catcher. So, they have some good minor leaguers, and they did really well in the trades for in getting rid of Scherzer and
Verlander.
Verlander and getting back some prospects.
So do you follow New York Mets news on Instagram?
On Instagram, no, but I would definitely follow as much, to an extent as much as I can.
So they said, Joel Sherman says, besides Yamamoto, there's a Shota Imanaga, who is a lefty, one of the best starters in Japan, 2.77 ERA, pitched in the 2023 World Baseball Classic Final. And that's another thing. Imagine having 3 Japanese guys on the team. God, you'd be in heaven.
Yeah.
You being
Oh yeah. I think it helps having other Japanese players, which is interesting because most of them didn't want to play with other Japanese players, from what I've read. But Yamamoto wants to.
He does.
So maybe that's something.
Yeah.
That's something that maybe will change. And like I said, it gives the Mets, I think, a one-up on. I know the Yankees are interested in him, and several teams are, but it gives the Mets a one-up. And like I said, Senga did really well, and the Mets, the fans embraced him, as Mets fans pretty much embrace anyone and anyone that comes here. Most fan clubs, fans do, but he pitched well here, and the pitching staff, the coaches handled him well, and he did really well here. I mean, he was better than expected, I believe. I mean, he was really good in the second half. Once he got adjusted, he was excellent. And
excellent.
His ghost ball had one of the highest missing rates, bat missed rates in all of baseball as far as a singular pitch. So I just expect him to have a better second year, and then possibly even contend for a Cy Young if he continues to pitch as well as he did in the second half.
Look at Rob's going all out. He just throwing it out there right now. Cy Young. Listen, they can't be any worse.
I'm not saying he's going to win it, but
no.
The talks for it. I mean, he kind of was a little bit this year. He's been talked for Rookie of the Year.
What? How many games did Garrett Cole win? Garrett Cole didn't win anything, and he got the Cy. I mean, listen. What did he win? 15 this year? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, they don't count wins. Like I know, I still look at wins. I know it's an old school baseball stat, but I still think there's something to winning. I know it's harder these days. Guys don't go as far. I just saw a little thing on social media about a Nolan Ryan. God, what was it? It was something like 100 and something, 180 or 100, maybe not that hard. It was like 150, 160 pitches or something like the amount of pitches you threw in a game was unreal. I remember David Cone threw like 150 pitches, and just that is not baseball today. And
no.
So guys just don't get wins because they're not going deeper into games enough. But Cole was, I got to say, I was really skeptical on Cole, especially after I'm not a Yankees fan, but I was skeptical on him after the whole sticky stuff. And him and DeGrom were right there with being the best pitchers. And overall, his contract is much, he's going to turn out to be the better pitcher because of health-wise than DeGrom was.
Okay. So we got Josh on with us now, too. Josh.
Oh, shout out to Josh. Josh and I are good friends. Josh and I are good friends.
We got Rob Parker on here, Josh. Rob Parker. So we're talking Mets.
Yep.
Jets fan?
The Giants fan.
All right, so
heard you talking about Danny DeVito here, Tommy. I know.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm saying Danny DeVito, but Tommy DeVito, man, I'm really impressed by him, and really impressed by how far he's come in such a short time, and I think that has to do with his work ethic and the coaching too, and that's one thing that gives me hope for. And I got to imagine they draft someone that gives me some hope with next year with developing someone. You see that. I mean, that first game, and even the first game he started. It looked like he was just not a competent quarterback in the NFL. I thought he would never start.
But they didn't. But Rob, they didn't give him. They didn't give him anything. That first game, they had the reins on him. I felt they weren't. He was just dinking and dunking. I mean, what he throw, like 7 passes? That was against the Jets, right? That was.
Yeah, but no, I mean the next game he started against Oakland. I thought, like, man, I mean it's Oakland too. I did not. Oh no, Dallas. Sorry, Dallas was the second game. And then I believe it was Oakland. Maybe I'm switching those two up. Either way, both of those games, he did not look really like a competent quarterback. Like he could even, you're wondering if they would have. I was wondering why they didn't bring someone else in, a veteran, like not necessarily a Flacco, but someone of that ilk. But man, in a few games, he looks like I said, I think he's carved out a niche where he could be a 4, 5, 6, 7 year backup in this league and come in and give you a competent backup play in the league. And be a backup and the difference. I was talking this with a few friends. Think about this from DeVito's point of view. He was undrafted free agent, third string training camp, may have never seen the field and been 2-3 years and then done something else. And because of injuries, he has now created a chance where he can change his life for the rest of, now he doesn't have to do anything else if he's smart with his money. And what a life-changing thing for him to have started these few games and looked like a competent quarterback. I mean, hell, honestly, I rag on my fellow Jets fans, but he has looked better than Zach Wilson.
Oh, without it, Rob, without a doubt, not even close. Not even close.
And so he looked better than a lot of backups in this. It looked like like I said, he can step in and start for 2 or 3 games and give your team a chance to win. So he has made himself a career and given himself a chance to change his life and his kid's life, and just because of injuries.
Now,
it really is an amazing story for him.
let me ask you a question. So they come off the bye. They play Monday night against Green Bay. You're the coach. Do you start him or do you put in Taylor? Because Taylor will be off IR.
I mean, there's obviously I don't know what's the locker room like. If the locker room just loves Tyrod Taylor, I think you kind of have to maybe go with Taylor because you can't lose the locker. Not that they would necessarily lose it, but with football, with guys who giving up their bodies and stuff, that stuff matters. But if I'm just going off play, I would stick with DeVito. He's won a couple games. He's continued to get better. Who knows how, the more he plays, the better he gets. And there's momentum. I'm a big believer in momentum and belief and confidence. I mean, you can look through it. I'm not saying they're going to win a championship or anything like that, but you look at like Brady his first year.
Right, exactly. Why not?
So there was just something with Tim Carrington winning with the Giants in 2007. There was something with them winning. And once again, I'm not saying they're going to win anything, but there's confidence and you get the ball rolling in any sport. You can just win games. You see what teams that go on in baseball, teams that go on like 10, 12 game winning streaks. Right. Just things start going well for you and that confidence and things just go on a roll. So I would just continue with them as long as they feel that the locker room is okay with either the decision. I keep rolling with them.
I would keep rolling. That's what I feel like. I feel like you said, they're rolling right now. So why switch it up when they have a guy who's, he's confident. He's out there. He's like, he's playing with house money. He's basically playing with house money
And also, you got to take in the fact that Tyrod Taylor is a free agent. With the amount of money he's probably going to want, you'd be smarter going with DeVito next year as your backup. And Jones may not be ready to start the season. And if you do have a rookie in there, the more you play DeVito now, the better he'll be next year because he'll have more experience. He'll see more defenses. And because you're going to start seeing different defenses thrown at him because every team plays different styles and see what he does and see what the Giants are doing with him as quarterback, and teams will adjust to that. So the more experience he gets, the better prepared he'll be next year because you never know. Maybe Jones isn't ready and maybe they draft a quarterback. Like, I'm not a huge college football guy, but, I know the quarterbacks are there. Maybe they bring in like the guy, I think his last name is Daniels from LSU, and maybe he's not quite ready to start.
Oh, Jaden Daniels, but he's going to win. He might win the Heisman.
You start him and he struggles, and DeVito has to come in, or maybe because of injury he starts. But the more experience he gets now, the better. And Tyrod Taylor's not going to be back next year. He's fizzing.
So let me ask you a question. You don't sound like a big Daniel Jones fan.
I was. I think he's run his course here. I think you can't go with him in the future beyond next year just because of injuries. It's just too much. You can't count on him because he just gets injured too much. And I think there's something, you see with quarterbacks, his clock is sped up too much. And this is something I heard, I forget what analyst mentioned this, but it worked well for him last year, but I think in a good functioning offense, this shouldn't be the case where he goes like his first read, second read, and he's a good runner, but you see the difference between Tyrod Taylor and you see it now with DeVito versus Jones. Jones, once the pocket starts to break down a little bit, he runs to get yards, where Tyrod Taylor and DeVito were running to create more time to throw.
Right.
And in today's NFL, with how easy it is for receivers and for big plays, that creates big plays. You see it with Mahomes, and you see it with so many quarterbacks who are just getting out of the pocket and giving yourself those few extra seconds gives your receivers a chance to get open, and you create bigger plays. And Daniel Jones this year and last year, just right away, he runs forward for yards, which is nice, but you need those big chunk plays in the passing game, which that creates, creating your time to throw. So between injuries and that, and just I think he's just run his course in New York. I think he minus the injuries, reminds me like Kirk Cousins. With everything right, could do well, but not going to be a top guy.
Well, if you put him in Kirk Cousins, I thought he's really regressed this season. My buddy feels it's offensive line. I said he's fumbling, he threw interceptions. Everything that could possibly go wrong went wrong for you guys at the beginning of the season. I mean, that opening day was like you didn't even. I mean, that was like watching a high school team out there. How were you not prepared for the first game of the season to come out that flat first game? I mean,
well, I don't think they necessarily came out completely flat. Their opening drive, they did well. And this was a frustration of mine early on with the Giants. This happened the first three games. They ran the ball well the first drive, and they ran the ball about half the plays on offense and moved the ball well. And then this happened the first game definitely, second game, and I think the third game. All the way into the San Francisco game, because I remember calling, I don't know if you're a fan of Dave Rothenberg and DiPietro, the company, we follow them. I called the show and talked about this, that the second drive, they threw all three plays, 3 and out, first game, second game, third game. Instead of continuing to run the ball, they came out and threw the ball all 3 times on the second drive, and they're already down in all the games, and now the other team got the ball. Once again, I believe they scored in all second possessions, and now you're down by more. And I know in the 49ers game, they threw again on the third drive. And it's like, Saquon's your best player.
Right.
Your offensive line isn't good to start with, and Dallas Thomas got hurt on that field goal. Things spiraled after that, but in the second game, they didn't have their best offensive line at that point. In the third game, too, and we all know it's easier to run block with an offensive line than it is to pass block. And Saquon's your best player, and it helps to go off play action and all that goes with running the ball, and to get away from that when it worked well in the first drive of all these games, really, I think, did a disservice to the team and Jones, and I think they didn't. I don't think they did him any favors. I don't want to keep talking, but in training camp, they kept cycling offensive line. They didn't go with one steady group, and it's so important in the NFL with offensive line to have continuity. And
right.
There's a lot of just knowing what the guy's going to do next year as far as passing guys off on stunts and things like that, and picking up blitzes and that communication, nonverbal communication that happens. And they kept shuffling lines all the way through training camp. I think that did them a disservice. I really think this is a learning season for Daboll, and we'll see how they adjust. I don't think the offensive line coach will be back, but I think there's things hopefully, and I think he's a good coach overall. I think he learned some lessons this year that'll help for next year, and I think that's one of them. The offensive line was an issue, and they didn't do any favors.
Yeah, next year, and that's the thing too. I mean, what are we going to see next year? I mean, I feel like, I think they're both under the gun next year. I feel like if this is like a redshirt year for them, now we got to see with them. And I think again, the coach of the year, they won a playoff game. Everybody got so excited that, I don't know. Yeah. It just feel like they went off the rails this season right off the bat. I mean, it didn't. I expected them to start off stronger than they did. I mean, I don't know if that's what I felt, and I agree. And now Saquon, I think he's going to be gone.
I think they're just going to franchise him again.
He's going to be furious with the franchise. I mean, I guess he has no choice.
Yeah, I mean, you think, what is he going to do? Sit out? He can't sit out. It just puts it off another year. He can be as furious as he wants, but he's going to compete. He's not, and nobody really will, because you can't play football half-heartedly.
Right.
But a guy like him, I mean, I don't like that side of football, but it's what's going to happen. And maybe they'll do the same thing where they'll give him more incentives, and maybe this year instead of incentives, they'll give him. This year, they gave incentives, and they had no chance of really reaching it.
Yeah, no.
I heard they didn't. Maybe next year they'll make those incentives easier, like rush for 750 yards we'll give you. Maybe they'll throw something easy for him to get, but I think he'll be back. The defense is good. I love the progression Thibodeau's made. The quarterbacks, Deonte Banks has been really good. Something that not a lot of people have talked about. He's been great their draft picks have been good. They have been. I know Evan Neal was a miss. Hopefully, every year I've been saying it since 2012, 2011. The offensive line needs to be addressed. Hopefully this year,
every year
in the offseason they do. If they do that, get maybe 1-2 more receivers. It still won't be a great receiving core, but if it's better, the defense is good.
Hey,
it's not great.
Hyatt had a good game.
They're always on their heels.
Hyatt had a good game. Hyatt had a good game last game. They finally got him the ball. Hyatt.
Say it again?
Hyatt.
Oh, yeah, he's got speed. He runs good routes. He just needs to expand his route tree. He came from Tennessee where the route tree wasn't big, but he's worked hard. And you see when they focus on going to him, he produces well. In the Washington game, he did. They focused on going to him, and he got big plays. Last game, they threw to him. Yeah, as long as he continues to develop, he's got speed. I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Odell, but he reminds me of that ilk. Not ilk as meaning like talent level, but that type of player, like a little bit smaller, but can go up and get it. Speed once he gets the ball, good hands. So if he can continue to progress, I think he could be a 2 or 3. I don't quite ever think a 1. I got a little ahead of myself before the year, but being a 1. But he can definitely be an explosive player that can scare defenses. Yeah,
and that's. I just feel like the Giants have so many goddamn holes. Rob, where do you start? Almost.
I don't think it's as. I think really. I think the defense is good. I think they
I
need
do-
to add
I-
a little bit of depth on the defensive line, but you got Dexter Lawrence. You have Kayvon Thibodeau. They need another end on the other side, but the defense is good. The defense, if they weren't on the field as much as they were, and especially you see since second half, Akarake has, once he got accustomed to the defense, he's been really good. McFadden's been really good. Another good find with them. He's a second year. He's been really good. Banks is good. We'll see. I think McKinney probably gone, but safeties are the hardest
but the thing
to replace. Pinnock is good as a safety. I think the defense is
Okay,
good.
but you don't have your
If you just can fix the offensive line,
and you don't have your quarterback. And Rob, you don't have your quarterback. You're not telling me you have your guy for the next 10 years. That's what, right?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. But if depending who they can get as a rookie, I'm not saying they're going to be great, but I don't think they're as far away as they've looked this year. If they get a quarterback that can be competent and not turn the ball over a ton, it really comes down to the offensive line. It all comes. Football will and always will be one in the trenches.
Right, so you got to get and I agree with you. Thibodeau has getting a lot more pressure on the quarterback. Like he does things other guys can't do.
11 sacks.
Yeah, and he's doing things
in 15 games.
Yeah, and he makes.
Not 15, sorry.
You're right, but he makes he screws things up. He's annoying. He's like a mosquito. He's just like a gnat.
I want to ask you about what team you're a fan of. I believe Jets fan, right?
But I grew up a Cowboy fan, and when Jerry Jones got rid of Jimmy Johnson, I was done with the Cowboys. So
okay, well, you're not a Cowboys fan anymore, so that's awesome. Real quick, I want to ask. So you're a Jets fan now, right?
Yes.
Okay, I want to ask you about them, but I'm reading. I don't know if you saw that Gary Myers wrote a book, Once a Giant.
Yes, I've heard of it.
It's about the '86 Giants. I just read this today, and this blew my mind. I just came to my mind real quick. So the Giants drafted. Giants had drafted Lawrence Taylor, 83. In 84, they had a third-round pick. Do you know who Parcells was trying to convince George Young, their GM, to draft, and he didn't? Do you know who Parcells wanted to pick?
Offense or defense?
Defense.
84. So it had to be somebody. So it's someone. 80. Damn. I'm trying to
84.
think.
One of the greatest defensive linemen in history.
Oh, was it Reggie White?
Yep. He wanted to. Could you imagine?
Reggie
Reggie
White
and Lawrence Taylor.
Oh, my God.
Same defensive line with Bill Belichick and Bill Parcells as their coach.
Jesus Christ, that would have been scary as hell.
They drafted Zimmerman, who tackled. They ended up trading him because they didn't want to play for the Giants, and they got 2 second-round picks. They ended up getting Mark Collins through those picks, and Mark Collins was good for them, and he helped them win Super Bowl.
Right.
Win 2 Super Bowls, and Zimmerman did go on to win one with Denver. But I mean, I like Collins, but if you could have had Reggie White, I can't imagine they wouldn't have gotten another Super Bowl, and you would have been talking dynasty. I mean, Taylor, how would you block that with White on one side and Taylor on the other? Boy.
So 86, my father knew a guy, Hank Gola, who wrote a book with Jim Burt after the 86 season. He wrote for the Daily News. So So whenever I think of that, I think of Jim Burt, who
Yeah. So what do you think of Aaron Rodgers and practicing today? What's your whole take on all of that?
Listen, I feel like this motherfucker, because that's what he is. He's on the McAfee show. I think he's playing all of us. He said, I want to be the fastest one coming back. Now it's about my health. I'm coming back regardless of make the playoffs. No. Now I feel like he's yo-yoing. I really,
yeah.
I don't.
He's such a diva.
He is a diva. Rob, there's no other word for it. He's a diva. He's a freaking diva. He is a diva.
And he's talented as heck.
Yeah.
I liked him up until 2012. The Giants went into Green Bay and just beat them. They outright beat them. Defense created, I think it's like 5 turnovers. And Eli, the offense, they got this, the Hail Mary at the end of the first half with the King Knicks, and the Giants just ran, just absolutely beat them in that game. It wasn't even close. And Aaron Rodgers afterwards said, well, we didn't lose, or they didn't beat us, we lost.
Yeah, and I hate that shit. Yeah, come on, dude.
Like, come on, man. It wasn't like it was close and you made a stupid, you dropped the ball. I mean, you got your asses handed to you. And you know what? When they beat us in 16, okay, they beat us. Like, they came into, we went into Green Bay, but they absolutely whooped us.
But also, that was the whole OBJ hanging on the boat kind of thing right before.
Oh, yeah.
I think That's when OBJ started becoming more up here and not with his hands. He got into much.
Diva.
Yeah, he became a diva. And so I feel Aaron Rodgers came, the Jets had no backup plan. No back. I mean, you had Zach Wilson again, who should never be on the field. Zach DeVito, when he gets the ball, you can tell he's a quarterback. When you see Zach Wilson, looks like like he's looking over his shoulders all the time. And Tim Boyle last week was atrocious. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't blame them necessarily for not having a backup. I mean, who does Mahomes have backing him up? Who does
Hey, Chad Henne,
don't have
Chad Henne in the playoffs last year led him for a touchdown against the Jags. I mean, he came in.
Yeah, but that was one drive. He's also. But here's what
I'll take it.
I can understand both sides, but my biggest thing with the Jets is once Rodgers went down, why they didn't then go get Dobbs why they aren't starting Trevor Siemian. If you look at Trevor Siemian's stats, and I know stats aren't everything, but his touchdown to turnover ratio is positive.
But that was a couple years ago.
Quarterback. Why you haven't gotten someone better that at least gives you a decent, somewhat of a chance? That's the part. Once he got hurt, that's the part that I think is just egregious. That's the big part.
And how does Salah keep saying that he gives us the best chance to win? How do you say it with a straight face? How do you look the fans in the eyes and say he gives us the best chance to win? I'm like, okay, he had one good game against the Chiefs, and but I mean, then it got to the point where he was just embarrassing. I mean, DeVito has more touchdowns than he has all season. I mean, it's just like, come on, dude. Yeah.
Has he ever thrown for 300 yards in a game?
No, never. Never.
I don't think so.
Never.
Now this is his
31 games. 31
games, almost 3 full seasons, and he hasn't thrown for. And I mean, 300 yards in today's game. I mean, you're throwing that much. I mean, if there's a quarterback that starts an entire season and doesn't throw for 300 yards in today's game,
CJ Stroud.
Man, that's
CJ
Stroud. It's not just him. It's the coaching staff, and I mean, the offensive line. I understand is an issue, but even look at the Giants. They were able to protect Taylor and protect DeVito the last few weeks when they've been starting enough to get them some offense, and the Giants have just as many injuries as the Jets. They've eventually figured it out enough to get to make themselves competitive.
But we'll see. Listen, also you guys played the Pats are terrible, and Commanders can't beat them. I mean,
correct. Yeah, true.
So that's, and I don't know. Green Bay went in and made the Lions on Thanksgiving look like, dude, come on, you're a home crowd. You could, and they still got a gift because Chicago beat the Vikings this week. You're like, oh my God. I mean, how do you lose to the Bears at home? No offense, and they all get uptight, like Rob. Now they're talking about, well, we got to sit down Dobbs. So you got Jaron Hall, a rookie, and you got Nick Mullins, who's a journeyman. I mean, honestly, you're playing with fire. I mean, you stick with Dobbs. Dobbs is a bad game. Guys have bad games. You can't just bench it.
Two of those interceptions were directly off receivers' hands. So really, only two interceptions on him. There's nothing more. I don't think there's nothing more. Having an unstable quarterback situation is just horrible for a team.
Everybody, the whole team. Yeah. You lose the team. Look. Who I've been watching too a lot of is Pickett with Pittsburgh, dude. I mean, he looks lost out there. I mean, he makes some. I think I agree with. I don't know if you saw what Alex Smith basically went against what Brady said, but I feel like he said it's the golden age of quarterback. I go, where? There's more shitty quarterbacks than good quarterbacks, and I feel like it's.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. When we were growing, I don't know how old you are, I'm 43. Like, I remember the Giants. Look, Jeff Hostetler came in and won them a Super Bowl. Like, that doesn't happen today. I mean, I know that happened with. So I guess it can't say
Foles.
But Hostetler went on to have a good career where Nick Foles never did. But in the NFL back, then. But even with Brady and Manning during that time, and the backups were better. I mean, we go through more quarterbacks too because of concussions and the protocol. So you get guys, you do cycle through more. But it's bad.
It's bad.
Quarterback play. It seems to be all or nothing. You either have a really great one or not. And even look at someone like Dak Prescott, who's good, and they still try to tear him down. I mean, I'm not a big Cowboys fan. I think they're generally overrated because they are the Cowboys. But Dak Prescott is consistently a good quarterback
until it gets to the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the Cowboys.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones thinks he's the GM, and he's not, but he thinks he is. And
And he never gets the best coaches because coaches
oh.
go there because he undermines them all the time. The last good coach they had was Bill Parcells, and he left because of him. And he forced out a Hall of Fame. He made a Hall of Fame coach leave and took on Wade Phillips. And if that team in 2007 had Bill Parcells as their coach, there's no way the Giants beat them. There's no way. No way. That team was super talented.
Super talented.
That team.
Super.
Parcells is stuck around for that. That team probably wins the Super Bowl. But he drove him out. He can't ever keep any good coaches. He kept, what's his name? Garrett around because he was
Jason Garrett, man. And Jason Garrett to the game on Sunday night. I wanted to kill him. I can't. How does it? This guy got the golden ticket. He's like, oh, I wasn't that great a coach, and now I'm announcing, and I think I'm the greatest. And I'm like, dude, you suck. You suck.
Yeah.
You sucked as a coach. You suck at everything. And I'm just like, how is it? Oh my! He had so much talent with Dallas. He pissed it all away. Pissed it all away. Oh my God, does he suck?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, unbelievable. Yeah. What? Oh, Josh said that Tyrod Taylor can't catch a break, constantly getting Wally pipped.
Yeah, well, I mean, he had it in San Diego. He got hurt out in San Diego.
He did. And then the collapsed lung, and they screwed up. The doctor screwed up the game.
Josh Herbert stepped in, because they gave him the shot the collapsed lung because of the shot. He sued them for it. Yeah, and Buffalo, he was the quarterback and doing well, and Josh Allen stepped in for him.
And you know what's nice to see too? Baker Mayfield, how much he sucks. I'm just like and I wanted the Jets.
Go back to this. When I hear about him, I remember Sal Paolantonio came on ESPN when Cleveland was going to draft him, and Sal Paolantonio said he was going to be a Hall of Famer, guarantees it, greatest quarterback, blah blah. And I was like, boy, that's a lot to say for a guy. Oklahoma never turns out good quarterbacks. He was undersized, and I know everyone's look at Drew Brees. Okay, I mean, look at Tom Brady playing over 40, but doesn't mean just because you got him, Russell Wilson. But generally, there's a reason why short quarterbacks don't do well.
Right, and he just isn't. I mean,
and Oklahoma quarterbacks because the system they run.
Right. Except for I'll tell you the truth though. Jalen Hurts. Now I thought they should have won the game. And let me ask you a question. I think Staley's gone from San Diego Chargers. I think McDermott's done in Buffalo. I want Arthur Smith gone from Atlanta. When you have Bijan Robinson, you're like, we're going to use him as a decoy.
Right. A decoy.
Rob, what are we talking about here? The guy is the one.
You know what it is? I think they're trying to be too cute. They're trying to outdate. Sometimes you overthink stuff.
Right.
Sometimes keep it simple. It's kind of like the whole Marshawn Lynch, Seattle against New England. Like you're trying to be too cute.
Right. Exactly.
I could be wrong about this. I don't remember the exact amount of plays, but I remember they were talking about and I know the game is different today, so you can't quite do this, but like the 49ers back in the 80s, they ran a small amount of plays compared to every other team, but they ran them really, really well. And they said, we practiced them so well. Other teams knew generally what we were running. We were just so good at them, you couldn't stop us.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that. Sometimes you just give your best player the ball and let him. There's a reason why Marshawn Lynch was so good. There's a reason why Bijan Robinson was such a high draft pick. He makes people look stupid on the field. Makes really athletic people look like me and you out in the field.
Right.
Give him the ball more.
Just give him the ball. Right. Exactly. Give him the goddamn ball. Yep. Let him just do what he has to do.
Yep. So what you got a question about coaches or?
Oh no, that's what I was going to ask you. I mean, who do you think? I mean, Schefter said between 7 and 10. So, I mean, we could go through teams. I mean, I think there's a lot. I think they're saying Belichick could go to the Panthers. I mean, you got to love an owner like Tepper.
I don't think he'd ever go to Panthers because I don't think he'll attach himself to an owner like that.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Somebody mentioned it. I don't know if he would do it. Well, I shouldn't say I don't know if he'd do it because he did it with the Jets to New England. Buffalo would be a great opportunity for Belichick as a coach. I mean, he has everything he needs there.
Everything.
He's got a quarterback. He's got the defense. I mean, he steps in there. I mean, you say what you want about him not being a great offensive mind. Obviously, they have offensive issues. He's still a great defensive mind, and that defense has still got talent to it. And if he could just get a coordinator in there that can keep Josh Allen from turning it over so much, everything else is there. I'm not saying, I mean, that's not, I haven't seen like a rumor, but I just saw someone, hey, why that's a great opportunity for him. Obviously, San Diego doesn't really pay, so I don't know. Obviously, I don't know about if he would do that. That's across the country. Buffalo wants to get
the owner sucks. The Charger owner, Spanos, is a terrible owner. That's another thing.
Yep.
But I think
Yep.
so. Do you? Okay, so let me ask you a question. Do you think people are saying now Justin Herbert doesn't get enough flack? You think he's overrated? Do you think Josh Allen's overrated? I mean, 8 straight games with interception. I mean, I think Josh Allen I don't know what's going on. I mean, I feel like he's such a goddamn good quarterback, and he just makes boneheaded. I mean, that play at the end. Did you see the overtime play? Like, was it his fault? Was it Was Davis go the wrong way? I mean, was Davis just running his route and he got?
Oh, do you mean they ended up throwing the end zone there?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know wires got crossed.
I don't know. That's the thing about football. It's so complicated. Like it's your reads on routes and stuff like that is so complicated. It's hard for us to know what the offensive system actually calls for. Like I remember years ago, I was listening to after Amani Toomer retired, and Eli was going through one of his streaks of lots of interceptions and stuff like that, and then fans were calling up and killing him, and Amani Toomer said like the type they ran Kevin Gilbride was offensive coordinator, and he came from the run and shoot offense,
right?
And he said the type of system that they had, there were options that receivers had to make based off. Once the ball is snapped, depending on where the defenders went, they made reads inside the route that the receivers would make based on certain reads. And Eli, a lot of times you'd see balls that would way over receiver's head and people would boo, and Eli would never scold the receiver. And what Amani Toomer would say is Eli knows the playbook in and out. He knows the reads. The receiver ran the wrong read, or saw the wrong read, ran the wrong route. The ball went over his head, and it's the receiver. 95% of the time, it's the receiver's fault. Eli will never hang his guy out to dry and blame him.
Right.
But he goes, Eli knows the playbook. It was the receiver's fault, not his. And there are all those type of things you don't know. That football's so complex. Who knows? But boy, I mean that little difference makes that little.
Right.
He runs it to the corner at the throw. I mean, that's how football is.
I'm gonna say in that play that his receiver was running his route, ran his route.
I got it frozen here.
Yeah. His receiver ran.
Froze for a minute there.
You're back. So the receiver ran the route and didn't really take in what was happening behind him, and I'm running my route. He got blitzed, and he said, okay, I got to make a play here, which is what Josh Allen could do. And I think it was more on Davis than it was on Allen. I'm not going to blame Allen on that one. That's what I felt. I mean, he's too goddamn talented. I mean, I just feel like he knows that offense in and out. He knows what he's doing out there.
Yeah. I wonder if he'll get a coach in there that can just teach him to, like, with Dave. And I wonder, Jones' best year was 2 years ago, and Dayball, really hands-on with him. If you see, he turned over less, and that's when they lost to Kansas City. And that shootout. You wonder if he can find another coach in there, an offense coordinator or a head coach that can really rein him in. That's I think all it needs for them to win a Super Bowl. If they can keep together over the next few years, teams just get so much talent, they get pulled apart, and then it gets hard to rebuild that again. Yeah,
well, this is the thing I've been reading too, is that Dable wanted to open it up more, play a certain way, and he had a certain way of playing McDermott, and they were butting heads, and I think Dable at the end was not happy how things were going. So, and I think McDermott, listen, they say a great coach knows, hey, I got this player and I have a system. Well, you know what? I got to make it work with the player. My system goes out the window, and I got to make what works here. And I feel like McDermott's fighting that a little bit, and he also throws everybody under the bus. They should have never lost to KC. That game should never even happened. That was it should have been. They should have bounced it or used some time up, but they basically no time off. I mean, it was just like, what are you guys doing? That Buffalo were the best team that year. Buffalo was the best team hands down, and they haven't recovered. They got blown out by the Bengals last year. I mean,
they almost lost to Miami, and Miami had who was the quarterback for Miami in that playoff game? I mean, oh my God, they were so injured, and they almost beat them. That's crazy.
Right, crazy. I mean, yeah. So, I mean, listen, my favorite thing to watch. So you don't watch college though? Just question: why don't you watch college? I'm curious.
I watch a little bit. I don't love it's just all offense. And it's one of the things about the NFL. I mean, of course I love football, but the football I grew up in, I miss as much defense. With college, it's just so much offense. It just feels like when it comes down to the best teams, it's almost every team that has the ball. And I know Georgia, obviously, great defense, and Clemson before that had great defense, and But it's
Bama.
just so much of college is just offense,
Right.
offense. That
Yeah.
I just get kind of, I don't want to say bored watching it, but it's almost like, okay, just run down the field and score, and it's just open everything, and it just doesn't do as much for me. I'm a Notre Dame fan. My team's very good. I know they're never really going to compete because they just don't.
You're killing me, Rob. You're killing me.
Against Ohio State this year, they did exactly what I thought they'd do. They would tease us and lose, but
dude, I was rooting for you. I was rooting for you. My buddy Treetop is a huge Notre Dame fan, and I was rooting for you because my girlfriend went to Michigan. She loathes the dump. We can't stand Ohio State. I was rooting for you guys, and I thought, oh, you had him.
yeah.
Worst way to lose.
I also see. I work a decent amount and 2 kids, so it's like limited what I could as much time as I could work. Now my kids are 16 and 8, so 8-year-old obviously a little bit more,
right?
And a single dad, so it's just not as much time. But I mean, I do watch. I keep track of all what's going on in general in sports. But I watch NFL. I try to watch every Giants game, and then I don't catch every other game that's on TV. But I try to. I try to watch as many Knicks and Rangers games as I can. I watched tonight's Rangers game. I got home. I probably picked it up from when I got home, and then I do get up early for work. I get up what days I do work most of the time at 3:45. So I can't stay up too late.
Whoa! Back up. 3:40. What do you do? What do you do that you have to wake up?
I don't know where you're located.
I live in the city. We live in the city near Grand Central, but
okay. So I'm a emergency gas dispatcher for Con Edison.
And your day starts at what time?
We start at 5:45, but I live a little bit upstate. But I got to be in by 5:45 in the Bronx. So I have an hour, 70 miles, about an hour and 20 minutes with no traffic, and I got to be in by 5:45. So and I work 12-hour days. Most of the time, or 99% of the time, it's 12-hour days. So when I say 3:45, I'm up 3:45. I get to work. I get out at sometimes 12.5-hour days. So I get out at 5:45, and then tonight. Tonight was a 12.5-hour day, so I got home at about 8.
Wait.
So I caught the Rangers game a little bit.
So you're a single dad who doesn't sleep. You don't sleep, dude.
Well, I mean, I split custody with my kids.
Right. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, but
no, I hear what you're saying. But so what? How many hours you sleep in a night?
Well, that's a whole nother. I'm an insomniac pretty much. So like last night. I laid in bed and started reading Once a Giant. I got into bed at what time? It was last night. Last night the night I hit traffic.
They all know.
It's funny. I'm talking to Josh tonight. I had 45 minutes. I had 45 minutes of standstill because of an accident on the Bronx River 2 nights ago. Last night, I got home. I got into bed. And I probably fell asleep last night at like 11:15 or so. I was up and I woke up a couple times because I always do. And up at 3:45, and then 12.5-hour day today. I'm off tomorrow and Friday, and then 4 12s after that. But then I'm off for 6 days. I have an all over this place schedule. I do overnights. I do days. Always pretty much 12 hours.
Wow. Dude.
Yeah.
Oh, so you don't have to be up tomorrow morning. Okay, that's why you're talking to me. Okay.
Yeah. No. Otherwise, I would not be. Yeah, no. I'm off tomorrow, off Friday. But then, yeah. But the nice part about my job is on weekends we have TVs. Oh, at night and on weekends we have TVs. We can watch them. So I can watch games on the weekends when I work. So and Sundays is time and a half. So I get time and a half to watch football on Sundays. I can't beat that.
Do you ever watch Red Zone? If you're at work, I ask you now what's your Red Zone.
We do not. Unfortunately, we don't have the Red Zone channel. I can put it on the computer for most of the time because I can sign in through my cable, so I will throw the Red Zone on. So sometimes I'll throw it on, and my phone I only have so much data, so it depends on what game.
And fantasy? Are you a fantasy guy? You fantasy?
No, just never gotten into. I did a little bit, but no.
I just started.
No.
I'm not. I'd rather talk about sports. I find that then I start rooting for players, and
I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like
Especially football. It's so much about the draft. After that, it's hard to really put a team together if you didn't draft well. So I did baseball a couple years and really liked it, but then it's hard for me these days to follow baseball so much that I know all the players throughout the league and what they're doing in order to draft well and stuff. I love sports, but I like doing other stuff, so I just can't invest all that time to know all the players, and I don't have the memory for it anymore either. So
you got a pretty good memory.
Sport, obviously, I'm talking with you, but not enough to draft well in baseball. There's so many players.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Okay, so Knicks. Brunson needs more help. Randall is not the answer. Randall is like Jekyll and Hyde.
I don't know if Josh. No Randall handle. That's our saying. Yeah. We need just if Randall was the star that his numbers make him look like.
Right. Right. And it's
if he played the way he played the other night, now I know it's Charlotte, and my biggest frustration with him. We have a friend in our group called the company that's a big defender of his, and he says we don't. And I know Rando's limited in certain things. My biggest frustration with him is his defense, and that's effort. Every sport, defense is effort, and you see it. There are plenty of times where he's just lazy on defense and running back and arguing with the ref. And I know sometimes stars do it, but he does it all the time. There was a play the other game against Phoenix. They lost by 3 points. There's a play in the fourth quarter. Mitchell Robinson on the line. Mitchell Robinson is a 37% free throw shooter, and he left. After the first free throw, he left the line to argue with the ref. Not Robinson. No, Randall left the line. On the what's it called? The lane. On the line on the lane. He left that there to argue with the ref. And once Mitchell gets the ball, he can't go back to that spot. So you're going to go back to that spot. It's an empty spot. Mitchell Robinson missed the free throw, went right to where he was standing. Instead, Phoenix guy got the rebound, and they went down. And no guarantee he would have actually got it, but it went right to where he was. And no guarantee they would have scored, but it's not unreasonable if they would have scored a basket.
Right.
Got the rebound. And they lost by 8. Maybe if they scored 2 there, now they're down by 1. Instead of down by 3, and have a better chance to make the shot at the end of the game. But it's that type of all the heck stuff. Like, don't leave your spot and have to argue with the ref about a foul ball. Like, what are you doing?
exactly. And he does it all the time. You see him.
All the time. I saw one, it was early in the season. He was arguing with Brunson running down the thing, distracting Brunson, and his man ran right down and got a layup, and Brunson, and he's like, man, you're arguing with, you do that during a timeout, do that at halftime, do that after the game, like, don't cost your team points. And my biggest frustration with if I were a teammate of his, like, he leaves his fellow teammates out to dry on defense at times, on pick and rolls and stuff, where he's just lazy. He just doesn't put the effort in. You can see he like walks around a pick and leaves his other. Then they have to start rotating, and there's someone left open, and his other teammates are running all over the place. And it's like, man, you're leaving your teammates out to dry. What are you doing? If I were a teammate, I was never I never played high school. I played just town sports, and that's it. But I always effort. It was always defense and effort. And I was always a vocal player. Like, I know pros are different, but I don't know if I could sit there and be like watching a player not give effort and me chasing around and not say something.
No. You see, Josh said you're even better than advertised, Rob. I got to be honest with you. You're just like you're just like boom, and I'm like, because I totally agree. You know what the thing about it bothers me too is he played with Kobe, and Kobe was always telling him, was giving him like advice, and he doesn't take it. Like Kobe,
you think Kobe would put up with
no,
like that?
No.
And then Jordan would punch him in the face.
Jordan punch him in the face. Like, what are you doing? What are you Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Kobe in the this is just how he is in the Olympics. They were playing against Spain, and he wanted to test. Pau Gasol was his teammate on the Lakers at the time, and he threw a pick, ran through him, and he's like, I wanted to test him in the Olympics. In the Olympics, which nobody's playing for money, and I'm glad that Kobe has that drive and wanted to win for America. I love that about him. I was never like, I don't dislike Kobe. I'm not like this huge Kobe fan. I'm not trying to say I don't like him. It's just he's not like Jordan is I think the greatest player of all time.
Me too.
Jordan's
Amen.
I'm a big fan. I hated him. Now that he's past retirement, and Kobe is like right there as far as like that want to win, and to think like he wants to win so bad he's going to run through his own teammate and absolutely play. And he told his fellow teammates, this is what I'm going to do. He was testing his own NBA teammate to see if you'll take it in an Olympics game, but yet Randall can't put effort in on defense in an actual NBA game. Like you said, he played with them. He played with
Kobe. I saw a video of Kobe. Who the GM was the former. I'm seeing the old center, and he said something. He goes, "You trying to?" He's screaming at him like, "Practice is over. What are we soft? Are we soft guys? Are we?" He was all over them. Kobe was like an assassin. He really was. He didn't like he didn't trust his teammates. A lot of guys he didn't respect because and Randall. I don't get Randall. Yeah, you're right. He'll put up 28 points, score 14 in a row, and then he disappears. Or he does something, you're like, and then you see at the end of the game, he had like 20 and 9, but you're like, it didn't help the team. Whereas I think Brunson has taken his game to a whole new level. I mean, I know he's going to opt out, but I mean, the other night, I don't know. Did you watch any of the game the other night against what was that? Was that Sunday night? I watched them against Phoenix. I mean,
Phoenix, yeah.
They should have won. They should have won that game.
Yeah, absolutely should. Yeah.
Underman team, no KD, Booker, and Booker should never have got that shot off. You know what I mean?
Once again, Randall did not. So this is the frustration. First, I saw where where IQ and Thibodeau had to give some instructions on Randall what to do, which I saw some. I follow a site called The Strickland on Twitter, and they break down every next game, and they do podcasts and stuff, and they're saying how with what they were telling him, they said that you shouldn't have to explain to Randall what to do. But either way, so on that play. There's 3 seconds left. There's like 4 or 5 seconds left. He comes around the pick, and he doesn't have enough time to drive. Doesn't really, or can't drive very far, Booker. And Randall gives him space and doesn't even get his hands up until barely the last second, and gives him plenty of space coming around that pick. And they intentionally attacked him because Randall throughout the season doesn't push hard, doesn't come hard off the picks. Teams are attacking him on pick and rolls and on picks in general, and that's exactly what he did. And Devin Booker got a good look when Randall could have had a hand in his face. He didn't have a hand in his face. By the time his hand got up, the ball was just getting released because he had his hands down by his sides as Booker is rising up instead of having his hands out in front of him and up in his face. Yeah, should have won that game. And as you talked about, you see. Brunson's playing better. IQ is playing better this year. RJ is playing much better.
Much better.
Robinson has taken such a defensive leap from his. He's not fouling. He's stronger. He's getting his hands up in defense. His steal rate is up better. His offensive rebounds rate is better. He's not getting in foul trouble at all. He's been much better. His free throws are an issue. I know no player ever do it, but I wish some of these guys would go to the two-handed underhand shot. I wish he would try it because it is the best way to shoot free throws actually. And with how bad he is. If he's worried about being looking embarrassing on there, I mean, could you get any more embarrassing than shooting in 37% right now?
Right.
But everybody's playing better. Grimes not quite as well, but he is a role player. Hart's playing well.
But Hart. Did you see what Hart was saying today? He said he's not. He's out of rhythm, and he's not really taking his shots, and he's giving the ball up. He's passing too much, and they kind of want to take being more aggressive sometimes, and he's kind of being a little timid. They're saying, and even he says it. He's a rhythm guy, and he's not getting a rhythm during the games, and. I mean, now do you like Tibbs? Do you like Tibbs as a coach?
Yeah, absolutely. I know some people we have to get a better coach. You tell me what better coach the next year going to get. Is Spoelstra all of a sudden going to leave Miami and come here? Is Malone going to leave the championship Denver Nuggets and come? I mean, who are you getting that's better than Tibbs? And don't give me where you get some young guy. Tibbs is a proven winner. Has he won a championship yet? No. There are plenty of coaches that didn't win. I mean, Phil Jackson took a little while to win, and he had Michael Jordan. Teams sometimes take a little bit. If you could tell me a better coach that's going to come in here, sure, but you better know he's absolutely better. And no, you know what I like about Tibbs, and not many people talk about this. He was a offense for him. Offense was a ISO ball with you saw it with Derrick Rose and stuff was an ISO. Now the Knicks are shooting the most threes in the NBA. They're a three-point shooting team. His offense has completely changed, and that's not who he is. He has changed as a coach to fit today's NBA and to fit what he has, but they're still very good defensively. And the players like him, and he fits New York perfect. I think if you get a championship player in here to switch out Randall. If you had, obviously Giannis, even not someone like that. If you had Kawhi healthy instead of Randall, the Knicks are right there in the East.
Oh, please, without a doubt. Yeah, exactly. I feel like they're one piece away. I feel like they need that second piece.
Yeah, and I'm fine with them being selective. They've been selective about that. I'm fine with them. They have a good team. They're winning. It's been so long. They've been that way. They draft well. They're developing guys. They're in decent cap space. They don't have anyone to a ridiculous contract. They have RJ who's developing young. They have IQ who, if they want, they can match his offer in the offseason. They signed Brunson to a great deal for what?
Yeah, 5 years, 100. But I think he could. I think it's 5 years, 100. But I think he's going to opt out. I think he can opt out in the next
4
year.
4 years, 100. I don't think there's an opt out. But even if he does, they're going to resign him, and he'll come back. I mean, why would he not? Everyone loves him here. They can offer him the most amount of money, I believe. I mean, I don't see any way he leaves. Grimes is good. Mitchell Robinson has continued to develop, and now he's definitely played worth his contract. Hart was a perfect fit for this team. Trading for him. So why you would I like they've been patient. They're a good team. They're continuing to build get better as a team and get better individually. And somebody will come free. I mean, you see it. Who would have thought that? Damian Lillard would finally have gone somewhere. Who thought? The guy that got traded away for him, the guard that's now in Boston.
Porzingis? No, not Porzingis. We're not talking about. Oh wait. Drew Holiday? No, not Drew Holiday.
Yeah, Drew Holiday. Who knows? Not to say he would be. I don't think he's quite that guy that comes free. But who knows? Maybe Kawhi Leonard becomes free. And if I'm the Knicks, I know he's injury prone, but do I take the chance of him being healthy one year? I probably would. If I can give up Randall and 2 number ones for him, am I willing to do that? Take the chance that Kawhi's Leonard because if I'm the Knicks, if I get 1 championship out of that, it's worth it. Because they were so starved. You get a Knicks team that wins a championship in this town. Look how they were after they beat Atlanta in the playoffs a few years ago. This place was
nuts.
For a playoff round victory, if they win a championship, that team will go down as in lore, like the 86 Giants, like the 86 Mets, like the 96 Yankees, or the 98 is probably the more beloved team, but.
No, 96 was because 96 was it had been forever. It had been since 78.
Yeah, it had been since what, 80?
78. 78. They hadn't won since 78.
Oh, 78. I thought they won 81. I guess.
No, that was the strike. That was the strike.
Okay, yeah.
They lost to the Dodgers.
So the 96 team, I mean, they will go down in lore with all those teams, So if I'm the Knicks, I was talking that with one of my other company members, James, about that if Kawhi becomes available, I think I put my chips in with that because at some point you do have to make that move, and I think Kawhi's worth it because you saw at Toronto, he was healthy then. And
but remember, he sat out he missed a lot of games regular season, and then he lit up for the playoffs. But Toronto has nothing to complain about with him. And the San Antonio booed him, the fans, when he went back. You guys, you have nothing to boo. I mean, I don't know what's on with the Clipper. Yeah. The Clipper, yeah. Well, you got James Harden, he's the A-Rod of basketball. He just sucks all the energy out of teams.
Yeah, I think that's an insult to A-Rod. A-Rod did win a championship. James Harden has just been.
Yeah, but A-Rod.
I understand what you're saying.
I am not an A-Rod fan. I mean, I thought
me either. But you want to? I think James Harden is the epitome of all the bad. I don't know, man. Like the worst thing about if you have a talented player and you want to give him all the wrong things, that to me is James Harden. He's like he's selfish. He hangs you out to dry. He doesn't show up in big games. I mean, he's historically bad in big games. Historically, they should have beat that Golden State team. Golden State never should have gotten to the championship.
Never.
Yeah.
Never.
He was horrible in Game 7. Horrible.
And then
in Game 7.
And him and Kyrie, they could have each other. Keep them together.
Oh, yeah. See, Kyrie's actually. I don't want to say Kyrie's. I don't know which one's worse, man.
Right, exactly. Which one's worse? They're both. Yeah, which one's? You don't want either of them. You're like, you got.
It baffles me, owners that take on players like that, thinking they're going to be the one to change them after. If it's a second team, you think, okay, it was just one team, but like 2, 3, 4 teams, like.
Yeah, shame on me. Once on me, shame on me. Twice, shame, but 3 times you're like, and that.
What were they thinking?
And I think you're ruining the chemistry right there with Westbrook coming off the bench. You would never think a guy like Westbrook would come, and he's like, hey, listen, I'm going to do what's best. Yeah, a lot of credit.
He finally committed to doing that, and he finally committed to not being the ball dominant guy, and he was really good for him last year. Really good for them.
But that team's a mess. Yeah,
it is. Absolutely. So I wouldn't be surprised if they decide, like, maybe to blow it up this year. Maybe if they continue to tank, maybe they decide, we're just going to see what we can get out there. And if the Knicks offer them Randall, and I know they got like 4 picks, and two of them may not turn out to be anything, but maybe 2. If they offer them like Grimes, Randall, and a few picks, I don't know if they would take that. Probably, maybe not. The one thing about Randall is you get him. If they decide to keep, trade one of them. If you have Randall, and George, Randall is going to give you. 25 and 10, he's gonna have you win some games. And the West, other than Denver, obviously got Phoenix, but it's like a little bit top heavy. They could be a contending team, still win games, still get to the playoffs. You swap out those guys. Maybe it's something they're willing to do. If I don't want to get rid of IQ, I don't know how far I'd go to get Kawhi, but it's something I would look into. I really don't want to get rid of IQ. I don't know how much they'd ask for, but he's someone I would definitely consider think about bringing depending on what they ask for.
Yeah, I think that's a guy you just hold on to. You cannot give up IQ because he's just
Yeah.
special. I mean, I just feel like, and it's some guys, they didn't pick up his option, and a lot of guys will mope and whatever, and he's just like, you know what, man, he's just bringing it every night. I mean, that's what I love about a guy like him. That you want glue guys like that. It's like I always feel like you need guys like baseball. You need you need guys to keep around the team to keep everybody legit. Oh, so that's what I forgot to ask you. What do you think? Do you want Alonso? Do you want Alonso staying, or would you want him go?
Yeah. The guy hits 40 home runs and drives in 120 every season. He does it in New York, and we see not everybody could do that in New York. He's fun, lovable. He's lovable. He embraces New York. He works on his defense. He's not the best, but he's not as bad as he used to be. And he, he's going to be able to handle New York. Why would you not? What's the argument against bringing him back? You're going to have to pay him. Oh, okay. I mean,
you have to pay some. You paid Lindor. I mean, why not pay him? Now, what do you think about Lindor? I don't mean cut you.
I love him. He's Gold Glove caliber. He has 30 home runs. That's 270. I don't care about baseball. The contract doesn't matter. Baseball. If you had an owner that's willing to spend, if this was the Wilpons, I'd be like, okay. But one, you can't blame him. I mean, tell me who's going to turn down a $341 million contract. Not me. I don't think there's a soul out there that would. And they also did it to show we're willing to spend. We will bring in a star. And the guy once again does it in New York. He plays hurt. He plays every game.
Plays every game.
One or two a year. He had a broken finger, not last year, the year before. Once that healed, he hit really well in the second half. His average is 270. He plays Gold Glove. He does it in New York. Hits for power, hits for average, steals bases. I don't see the argument. I don't understand it's not like for him. I don't get why some people don't like him. Like, name a hole in his game.
I love that he plays. Even if he has holes, the guy plays. You're guaranteed 155 games, if not 158 with him a season.
Yeah,
what guy does that?
25 to 30 home runs out of your shortstop. You're guaranteed like 260 to 270. Could be a little better, but baseball average doesn't matter as much these days. Yeah, he doesn't always come up big in the clutch, but he has come up in some clutch. He's not a guy who does it at all, ever. I mean, he did against the Yankees a couple years ago. He didn't hit well in the playoffs 2 years ago, but nobody did. That whole team was just bad in that second half. So I'm not going to put that all on him. Not everyone is great in the clutch, but I mean, are you going to is every single player on every team going to be clutch all the time? Of course not. Not everyone's Derek Jeter. I think, our generation and some, a little bit coming up are a little spoiled by seeing a Derek Jeter play. That's a little more unusual. But I like him. I love him. I don't see what there is not to love about him. Once again, he's also a fun player. Like, he's happy. He just won, sportsman. He won an award that was like philanthropy guy of the year or something like that, where he donated a ton and he did stuff for other people. It's a baseball award. I can't remember the name of it, but it was him being
Roberto Clemente. Was the Roberto Clemente? He was up for.
No, it wasn't that. It was that one. But it was for giving back and stuff like that. So he's a good dude too. Like, I don't. Once again, also doing it in New York. I mean, you see how many guys get brought in that don't. So. Yeah, I love him.
Well, this guy Champy was going Phoenix Suns, Arizona Wildcats, and David Benavidez, 2020. I'm like, dude, this guy's from Arizona. I'm like, all right. I'm like, okay, so you're a big Arizona fan. I'm like, I don't know about your Suns. Suns aren't winning anything. And, okay, the Arizona Wildcats football team's pretty good. But other than that, your basketball team chokes every year in the tournament. So, I don't think so. But, so I want.
Phoenix. Go ahead.
No, what were you going to say? Yeah.
I say, you said your Phoenix isn't winning anything. Like, you and me seem to be a little bit on the same plane with players. Like, do you think that Kevin Durant's the weakest mentally of big stars out there as far as
oh my God!
He doesn't seem to be mentally strong. Like,
he gets into arguments on Twitter all the time. Like, dude, you are a superstar.
That type of stuff. You care so much what some no-name guy says.
Like
about
me.
You.
Like if I said something to me, and Russell Westbrook the other day got upset because he said they're going after my family name. I'm like, dude, you're Russell Westbrook. Who gives a shit? You got to be bigger than that, right?
I think not that I agree with it, but I can understand if you're 20, 21, 22, like you're mature. I can understand that, but when you're at the age of Durant, you're at the age of Westbrook, I'm 43, 5, 6, 7 years ago, more than that, I learned, don't let punks on the street or, 21-year-old, 18-year-old kids make comments like, I don't, I just keep walking. I don't care. Like,
Right, right.
I don't worry about what some 18, 19-year-old. I'm not gonna. You figure these guys will learn what. Don't worry. Don't listen to the fans. What people on Twitter say. My God,
Right.
I'm on Twitter. I deal with people making stupid comments, and I don't care.
Right, but he does. He care, like and all this time. He put up something the other day that I'm feeling generous. I'm going to buy everybody a gift, and he goes, and then people started asking for stuff, and I'm like, dude, why do we like? There's people who write stuff. Somebody said something about watching Zach Wilson is like being in prison, and I said to him, dude, maybe count to 10. And this is a guy who's like got a following, and I'm like, dude, maybe take 10 seconds and think before you put a stupid ass tweet up. I mean, yeah, Zach Wilson sucks, but we're not going to compare it to being in prison. I mean, and they just write dumb stuff, and it drives. I don't know, that stuff just drives me crazy. Just because I'm somebody who has a following, I can say the dumbest things in the world, and they can just write it off. That bothers me. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, same here. Like Kevin Durant responds to that, and just his whole. Just as a competitor, I could never have gone from Oklahoma to Golden State, the team that just beat me. I just couldn't. I'm a competitive person. I never could have done that. But then on top of that, okay, you made that decision. Stick with it, and don't just get your championships. I don't know about leaving, but if you do leave, like you say, you want to go to the Knicks, to then let Kyrie talk to you and go into Brooklyn, but letting Kyrie do what he wants there when you know it's hurting your chance to win. Like, be like, listen, man, I know you're my friend, but. This is my workplace, and they always said, like, separate work and friendship. Like, I worked with my best friend for a little bit. Like, did work with him, and my best friend was my boss, and he could tell me, like, hey, you're not doing a good job. I viewed him then as my boss, not as my friend. That's two different things. And if you're on a team with Kyrie, you got to go, listen, we're friends, but you can't be acting the way you're acting. And if you are, speak about it. Like, that, it just seemed, and then, okay, now things aren't going well. Let me find another team that's stacked with talent again to go there. It just doesn't. It seems like he doesn't want to be the leader, but then gets mad when people point that out. It's like, man, like embrace what you are and go with it. Don't just keep being upset with people saying you are this way because of choices you make, and then getting upset about it. Seems like he doesn't just have any confidence in what decisions he makes.
You would think he would, but he really is a sensitive guy who's won everything, and he's still like got this. I'm like, dude, why are you getting upset about this stuff? Honestly, seems just insecure. Yeah, and you would think he would be so far from insecure, or would be like, no, he can't be this way. People, man, like people are people. Doesn't matter. You could be the greatest NBA basketball player. You could be the greatest at anything. Like all you do is you're great at what you do, but you just happen to do something that people like watching. But like my job, or I don't know what you do, but like there are people who are great at what we do, and they don't have the national following, but doesn't mean they can't be just as Kevin Durant's a person. Right, right. He's a person. He's great on the court doesn't mean he doesn't have flaws where he's insecure or. And money doesn't make you better than everybody else. Just because you make a lot of money and you're great doesn't mean it hides everything else about yourself. I mean, he's a human, and it blows my mind how you're like, dude, you're Kevin Durant. Like, and then there's the opposite, Kyrie, who thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. He thinks we're all idiots, and that he knows everything, and we really don't. And he reads a lot of books, and. I'm like, okay, I'm glad you read a lot of books. I'm glad you were at Duke for 1 year and you know more than all of us combined. And, that's good and all. But
we know he was really there for 6 months because all you have to do is keep the scholarship. And once you finish that basketball, that second half doesn't matter because by the time your grades catch up with you, you're gone.
Right.
So really, it's just a 6-month vacation. Keep your grades up, which we know, too.
That's what Marbury did.
I'm not saying he cheated.
But Marbury did that.
Watch out, but he possibly could.
Yeah, Marbury did that at Georgia Tech. He basically was there for a semester, finished basketball, and never went back to class. Yeah,
which if guys are getting drafted, that may not necessarily have been me, but I don't kill them for doing it. I don't necessarily think they have to go to college, but I think just like any job, they want to go straight. If you want to be a carpenter, no one's forcing you to go to college first to be a carpenter. That's my opinion. Like, you want to go to the NBA, like, okay, it's once again, it's just a job. It is a job. Yes, it's basketball, and we all love it, and we root for it, but, it is a job for these guys. It is their career. If they want to go right to 18 and do it, my friend went right to the Carpenters Union, 18 years old. He knew that's what he wanted to do. He did it. He didn't have to go to school first for it, that's my opinion.
So did he go but he went to school. He went to school.
Who?
Your buddy went to school for that?
No, he's right at the Carpenters Union. He right out of high school, right to Carpenters Union. Didn't need to go to school. He knew what he wanted to do. He went right to carpenter.
Yeah. So and nothing wrong with that. But this is the thing, too, but like you're saying, once you get there, it's not that you're there. Then you watch the players who really want to, like, I'm not saying that Randall doesn't put in the work, but there's something in him that's, he's making all this money, and you would think, right, make that hustle, try to get the hand in the face. The game's at the line, and what's going on in his head that he's kind of like, there's an aloofness about him. There's he's got screensaver going on a lot of times. You're like, he's not, who was I watching that always screws up? Gleyber Torres for the Yankees. He makes a lot of plays where he's like, is he in the game? Because he seems like he's in la la land, like he misplays, get picked off. I'm just amazed how these guys, you're a professional athlete, and dude, this is your livelihood, and you're playing for your livelihood, and you're just kind of choking in a way,
He's distracted. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. So yeah, I was like,
with Randall, I think when he's decisive, when he decides, either makes his move and passes, or gets the ball and makes his move and shoots, he's decisive with the ball. He's good. When he starts doing what we call the Randall handle, Josh knows the Randall handle. When he starts doing his spin moves and all that, like, no, man. Like, take the ball, attack the hoop, pass it, or take the ball and move it around to your next guy. When he's decisive offensively, he's good. When he starts trying to carry too much and do too much, I think that's when, he's not the best ball handler. That's when he gets in trouble. And so I think he last year he was really good in the first quarter. And I think when he can be really a good first three quarters player, let Brunson and IQ be the fourth quarter guys, that's when it's really that's when the Knicks are at their best. Because Randall doesn't do well generally in the clutch. I know he's had a couple shots, like last year against Miami, but generally late in games he's not, and he's also not great at the free throw line. I know it's kind of a Knicks general problem, but I think IQ and Brunson are better. And I think RJ Barrett, too, he's gotten better at free throws this year, and he gets to the hoop well. I think he could be a better fourth quarter player than Randall. I think I don't think he'll let his ego. I mean, you have to have an ego to be that good, I think. You got to become one. You got to have an ego. But you want him to do certain things that he doesn't do it. You're like when he has the ball, like the Randall handle, like give up the ball. He's dribbling up. No, he's not giving it up. He's going to dribble. And you're like, give up the ball. We're in a group chat on Twitter, and we're all like, bunch of us like, no, Randall, stop. We have a meme it's got Randall, picture of Randall, and it's got the O with the through like the no circle with the red line through it. It's got Randall and it's got that, and it says no Randall handle on it. And then Josh will just throw that in our chat when he starts doing that. No Randall handle. And we're all like, oh, come on. But when he starts going good, we're like, great. Like the other game, he had 20 rebounds. Like, awesome, man. Like, yes. And that's the other thing. He's just such a good rebounder. Just he puts the effort in defensively. It's just,
It's very frustrating. It's very frustrating. Yeah, it's really frustrating. Yeah. It's crazy.
Now, you know what? I want to, and I've been trying to focus on doing this when I speak about the Knicks. Overall, I'm thrilled with where they are. For so many 20 damn years, I grew up with the '90 Knicks. We're good again. Like, Randall has some issues, but overall, he's a good player. They have a really good team. We talked about. Like, I am happy with the team. Randall has some issues, but overall, I like him. He's a good player. He does a lot of great things. Rebounding great. He can score. He works on his game. He sees worked on his game from where he was. Overall, he's a good player, and he puts up good numbers, and it's not just like filler numbers. There are games where he does carry the Knicks.
Yeah, he does.
Overall, he's good. He has some flaws, but he is a good player. I don't want to just sit here and trash him. He is a good player. The problem is he puts up the stats that are so good, you sometimes expect more, which I shouldn't really be complaining about that the guy puts up 25 and 10. Or 20.
Yeah, but don't you feel something? But the thing also about him is he'll put up 14 in the first 3 minutes, and then he'll have 25 for the game. But he kind of that's what's so amazing about him, where he just takes over games. Like he could just, I'm just amazed how much he's like a freight train out there. And then all of a sudden you're like, where'd he go? Whereas I feel Brunson, he worked on his whole goddamn game. I mean, he's just like taking his whole game to a different level. I mean, that's what I feel with Brunson. I mean, I'm like. Watching that game against Phoenix, I was like, good God. I mean, you knew it was going in. He stopped, popped.
The one against Miami, the comeback against Miami.
Oh, my God, yeah, that game against Miami. I mean, they were getting, 29-10 in the fourth? I mean, you thought it was over. It was, and I was like, holy crap. Yeah.
I think, and I know, like, obviously he can never do it, but I think when Randall has those games where he's not on, Tibbs, and you understand it because you win with the players that you dance with the girl that got you to dance. Whatever that saying is, you win with the players that got you there. So he puts him back in the fourth, but I almost kind of wish he could not put him in then because then he's not doing well. Generally, puts him back in, or pretty much always does. And then Randall doesn't have a good shot or not a good possession because he's just off. Like you said, he disappears or he doesn't produce well. And then it's like the fourth quarter, and it's like everyone gets on him for it. Where it's like if you could just leave him out, let IQ, RJ, Brunson finish the game. Randall, who's been off all game, wanted to have that bad stretch at the end of the game where they lose, and it's like, if you just kind of left him out of most of those games when he's not doing well, and it's a close game at the end, he wanted to have that perception in the game, like, all right, then it's one, Would it be like, we lost by two?
But you know what? He can't do that because you start messing with his head like that. I don't think that's the problem. It's a tightrope. It's a slippery slope. There's some players who take it, and there's other players. I don't think Randall will be a good guy. You start taking him out every fourth quarter, he'll sulk. He's a sulker. I think it would.
Yeah, you remember it was 2 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, when the Knicks won, the young guys brought him back, and he slammed the ball, was pissed off instead of celebrating with his team. Like, that to me was a huge, like, whoa. Like, I'm always like, once again, I never play anything, but I don't care. I could go 0 for 50. If we win, that's the only stat I care about. Like, that's
totally agree.
The stat I care about. Win.
Yeah.
I could care less what I do. I want to contribute, of course, but if we win, that's it. I'm never going to be like, I didn't do well. No, celebrate.
Right.
For you guys.
Right, exactly. You won the game.
That's what the best teammates do, man. That's when you have your star player. When you have your star player who does that, I think it's Jordan talks about how what Phil Jackson told him is you shoot less, we'll win. And he started shooting less, and they won. He realized that, I got to trust my teammates. And when he did that, then they started winning championships. Why? Because your other teammates knew you had trust in them, and you trusted that they could succeed. If they produced well, if you trusted them, they would then produce well, and you guys would win, and then you succeeded. That's teammates feed off that, especially when it's coming from your best player, like Randall is.
Right, and that's the thing too. Is like there's going to be a time you're going to need one of those teammates. You're going to need one, and if you have to start trusting them, and that's what a great player does. Like you got to make your player, you got to help. Yeah, and I think Brunson's becoming that guy. I think Brunson is okay carrying the load. I see a different look with him. I mean, this year everybody's talking about. I mean, I thought he played well last season, but this season I'm like, he's just like. Yeah, I just love watching him play. I mean, he's mesmerizing to me. I mean, I'd love them to have a good season. I really would. I mean, I'd love them to. The city will go crazy. They go crazy if they won.
Yeah. If they can just get. I mean, obviously Boston and Milwaukee are better than them. I don't. If there's any, God forbid, if there's any way they got to the championship, there's no way they're beating Denver. If anyone gets by Denver, I don't really think anyone's going to beat Denver. They're so good, but there's no way they win a championship with this team. But if they can. Over this year, next year, whatever, find a way to get that player in here. Whether it's like talked about Kawhi or if it's Zion, if he ends up coming here and actually putting an effort in to lose weight.
Ooh, yeah, Zion to me is that. Zion to me is like that Pandora's box. It's like ooh,
right?
ooh.
If he gets in shape and is healthy, oh God, he's almost unguardable. He's like Shaq was.
Yeah, he's beautiful to watch, but he's got.
But is it the circumstances that he doesn't put the effort in? But then again, it's like, man, it shouldn't matter where you are.
Right, it shouldn't matter where you are. You should take pride in what exactly.
Even if he was in shape and dominating and just didn't want to be there, name an NBA player, name a superstar that wanted to get out and didn't.
They all do, right? Yeah, you can't.
In the NBA, if you're a superstar and you want out, they trade you.
Well, I'll tell you, Kobe said about Shaq that Shaq never was in good shape. He said it drove him crazy. That's what I thought. The falling out, he never felt it. And Shaq talks about himself, but I thought Shaq kind of could have been even better. I thought he was. Yeah. I felt that he really, his body, he didn't take care of himself. He wasn't in great shape.
Correct.
And it just blows my mind, as someone who's not a very good athlete. Well, it makes me think of when Corbett came in and. Keyshawn was Keyshawn, and he realized that Corbett had more freaking drive inside of his pinky, Corbett, than Johnson in his whole body because he just had an enormous talent. Whereas I think Corbett got the most, even more out of him, out of his career. Whereas I thought Keyshawn was a good pro, but not a superstar like I thought he was supposed to be. And that bothered me.
Yeah.
That bothers me when I see an athlete that's so talented and not like Randall. Like you're like, dude, you have it all, and you're just kind of like you take off plays. You just take off. You kind of
Yeah, you wonder if Shaq ever could have been more. I mean, hard to say Shaq been more dominant. Like, if I had to pick a starting five, I don't know if I would. I think Shaq would be my starting center because of just how dominant when he was best. He's just almost unstoppable. He's an underrated passer. He was a really good passer out of the post, and just so dominant. But he was just not quite not in 100% shape in the offseason. He wanted
right.
So if he was, God,
yeah, and it makes me think of Ewing now. Ewing would be an interesting player now because he had that outside shot back then.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
it would have been interesting for him to play now. Like when Jordan was gone for 2 years, he goes, Patrick, you had your chance. You had a chance. You didn't, and that
starts, man. 3 for 19, man.
But you know what? He kept shooting. You know what though? He kept shooting. I mean, everybody blames him, but it's a team. Yeah, I mean, everybody, but they wouldn't have got there.
It was on the coach telling me to stop shooting and pull him out. When you get to like 2 for 14, maybe you want to start thinking about the guy doesn't have it today. But once again, that was Starks, and that's the team that got him there. And Riley was loyal to his guys.
He was loyal to his guys. Listen,
they were loyal to him. They played hard for him. And he asked a lot. I read the book Blood in the Guard. I think it was called. Bad with names, books, people, whatever.
Right.
But I read that, and man, he pushed him hard, practiced hard.
Oh, I loved Mason. I loved Anthony Mason.
Oh, that whole team growing up with that team, Oakley and Mason, and I loved Derek Harper, and even Hubert Davis, and all of them. The entire. Man, it was such a shame when Ewing broke his hand because I think with Allen Houston now, they finally got that shooting guard that can really shoot. I mean,
Allen Houston,
such a pure shooter.
Allen Houston.
If Ewing was healthy that year, or that fight against Miami, if they don't have all those suspensions,
right?
God,
right? Yeah.
Charles Smith makes a damn layup. They were up 2-0. They've been 3-0. I don't think they lose 4. I mean, maybe they lose 4 straight to Chicago, but I mean, it's never been done before. I don't know. No team's ever come back from 3-0, right? I don't think so.
No, not NBA.
Who knows? And even if they don't win that year, I think it would have been a learning lesson to where then in 94, when they get there again, if they do get there again, I think they would. Now they've kind of learned the lessons the first time they went to the championship and made to get over the edge. So even if they don't win on the Charles Smith misses.
No, they won it. They went in 94. 94, they went to the finals. That was against Houston.
Yeah, 94. Yeah, but it was 93 or 92 with the Charles Smith.
Yes. 2-0. Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
So if he made, it should have been a foul call too. Either foul calls or he makes one of them. They would have been up 3 probably at that point because they're so late in the game. They probably win that. They're up 3-0. And you're up 3-0. I can't imagine it's coming off 3 straight wins. I can't imagine they don't get one more game at that point. I can't. And they were going home, right? They were going home at that. That was 2 games in Chicago. Going home up 3-0 to the Garden. That place would have been.
That place would have been crazy.
I think they would have won, and then I think they would have won the second one, and then now it'd be a whole different history.
A lot of yeah. You go back and you look at all that stuff. Listen, I thought the Mets also. Make me think about the Mets. I thought the Mets had some. How come after '86 they kind of went on the? They had such a great team, and they didn't go on a run.
Well, they also
drugs.
They thought that Kevin Mitchell was the reason that the Mets had the drug. The reason why he was the bad influence on Dwight and Doc, so they traded away Kevin Mitchell. It was good.
It was not.
It was not his fault. It wasn't him.
You know what it was?
Doc and Dwight.
I read Doc the first time he did. The first time he did coke, he was done. Like, do you remember? Yep. This is before. I don't know if it was before your time. Remember Tom Marinovich? Robo.
Oh yeah, Tom Marinovich. Yeah.
Did you watch? Did you watch that?
Was the guy with his father was like kept him, and once he had like a burger, he was allowed to have what he wanted, and it was just like. Whoa.
But did you did a doc about him? So he was at a frat party at USC, and one of his buddies said he did cocaine, and the look at his face, they went, "Oh shit!" First time they were done. I mean, he was on heroin and was playing arena football through for like 9 touchdown passes. I mean, he just was a mess. He's a mess. I haven't heard from him in a couple of years, but the guy is just a mess. It's amazing.
Lawrence Chandler was
LT.
He could play on game day.
I tell the story all the time. You saw the doc on that, and Belichick's coaching at the front of the room. LT sleep in the back. He said something to LT. LT came up, wrote all the plays, and he goes, "Can I go back to sleep now?"
That part of the book, yeah. He came in. He laid down under the table, and the defensive the defense coordinator wasn't Belichick yet because he was the linebackers coach at this point. He was 86. I forget the defense coordinator's name. He yelled at him. It was a game against Washington coming up. Taylor got up. He wrote what the defensive stuff would be. Came out. He had 3 sacks that day. After he wrote up what the defensive line would do for each play and everything, he went back, laid down, went to sleep underneath the desk, and later that week, they won the game against Washington. He had 3 sacks, and
and Parcells said, what he played basically with one arm one game. Like he basically had one arm, and Parcells said he was his favorite player because he didn't care. He just played through everything.
He had 2.5 sacks that game. I think it was 2 forced fumbles. And Harry Carson, George Martin, and Carl Banks all didn't play. The Giants won that game. And Lawrence Taylor said he felt like his arm was getting ripped off, but he was an animal. And Belichick said he was the smartest player he ever played with, played for him. He was the most instinctful player that he ever played with him, and just the best. The best defensive player, I think, of all time.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Yeah, unguardable. I know people say, oh, well, if he played today, you could say that about any era, but I think if he played today, he would have grown up with the same type of nutrition that guys did and working out, and I think he still would have been the same player. Some of it is just attitude, like Michael Jordan, Lawrence Taylor, they had that just absolute will to win, and they said with Lawrence Taylor, reading this book, he said he would do whatever it took, whether it took someone else making the play, it didn't matter what was asked of him, he did it. And he did it at a high level, and they knew we could count on him. Game day, he'd come out, and he would just dominate. And, of course, he had great coaches, as most of the great players do. I read a great story. I don't know if you heard this one, where Parcells, it was the game prior to a game against the Rams, and their left tackle earlier in the season, of the playoff game, earlier in the season, the left tackle held LT to almost, I don't think any sacks or anything. And during the same season, Pat Swilling, who wore 56, had a great game against the left tackle for the Rams. So Parcells, prior to the game, bought a plane ticket to New Orleans and put it in LT's locker. And LT said, "What is this?" He goes, "Why don't you fly down to New Orleans and tell Pat Swilling to come up and wear your 56 jersey up here, because that guy isn't owned by the left tackle for the Rams." And LT was pissed and went out and had 2.5 sacks. Now the Giants lost the playoff game, but it wasn't his fault. I mean, he played really well, but Parcells just knew the right buttons to push with him, and knew LT was that type of personality where he was not going to let him get away with doing that. I mean, he probably would have played well anyway, but LT was not going to let Parcells get over on him like that.
No. Yeah. I mean, just amazing.
He's an animal.
He was an animal.
Another guy, you wonder if he took care of himself physically. He wasn't doing drugs and partying and stuff. If he took care of his body, who knows now? Maybe not. I think part of it is that type of just how to put it, that on the edge all the time. So you play on the edge and you live on the edge type of mentality. So maybe if he wasn't that way, maybe he doesn't have that edge on the field too. But man, I just don't imagine how someone like LT could have been any better.
No. And when they talk about guys, and I think that guys are dominant, but not, LT was like, just like he took over games. I mean, he come in with he come in and he just like do with the arm, and he was, just unbelievable.
I remember reading a thing about Ron Jaworski, a quarterback of the Eagles at the time, said that they had a play where they were literally triple teaming him. And he would get through triple teams. Like, triple team. We talk about double teams most of the time work these days. They talk about chipping a guy. You chip him and you get a block and that works. They triple teamed him and he would still get in. Like, that's, and he got interceptions. I mean, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, just.
Yeah. No, just like, I was watching, against the Lions, he had a pick six. He took the ball, kind of caught one, and he was gone. And their running backs running, trying to catch him, and he's gone. Just gone. I mean,
he completely revolutionized the game. To his speed game, left tackles get paid what they do. He was the guy who invented the strip sack, intentionally trying to do it. I mean, before, they didn't devise a game plan on before him, they didn't devise a game plan to stop one guy in defense. That wasn't a thing. It just wasn't a thing before him. It wasn't an entire game plan to stop one guy in defense. John Madden said he was the greatest player he ever saw play, and John Madden knows a little bit about football. And of course, and then Belichick says the same thing. Parcells says the same thing. Right.
They all talk about how, and that he just, he didn't care. Like, he just, I'm playing. He goes, what do you know?
Injuries didn't matter what it was. Like, just,
And
reckless
Parcell,
abandon
reckless abandon. I mean, think about it.
And one thing he said is in the book I'm reading, he talked about how Parcells could go at him, could pick apart what he did in practice and stuff. And you see it with Brady, you saw it with Tim Duncan, that when coaches can do that to your best player,
everybody else is like, oh.
If Lawrence Taylor's going to can take that criticism, and the same thing with Jeter. If this guy can get criticized, who am I to talk back to the coach when LT is out here winning defensive player of the year, winning the MVP? How am I going to get upset with Parcells picking on me when he's picking on Taylor for what he does wrong? Like, you can't.
But let me see.
It allows, by him doing that, it allows the coach. It sets a tone for the team that, hey, none of us are above being critiqued for the mistakes we make.
So a question I have for you. I know you. I know we've been talking a while, but what do you think? Do you think the legacy is stronger? You think if Belichick's legacy is because of Brady? I mean, that's what they talk about. Like, didn't do it. I mean, Browns, he was okay, got fired, came to defensive coordinator, came to the Pats. They didn't do a lot. Brings in Brady, wins 6 championships. Brady leaves, wins the championship on his own. Does that lessen his legacy, Belichick, in your mind, or do you think he's still got? I mean, yeah, he's a great coach and all, but do you think it's more because of Brady, or is Brady more because of Belichick? I mean, I know they work intertwined in a way, but I feel like,
Okay, let me ask a question to answer this. Name me your list of greatest coaches in football. Without not including Belichick. Name the other ones in your mind. Who are the greatest coaches? Not now. I mean, just in history.
Well, so I grew up with Landry. Landry revolutionized the game. I'm thinking Landry.
Okay, and did Landry have a great quarterback?
He did have a great. He had Staubach.
Okay.
And then Shula, Bill Walsh. Bill Walsh had Montana.
Sorry, Bill Walsh. Joe Walsh, the guitarist.
Bill Walsh and
quarterback and Joe Montana, right?
And then he had Steve Young, and then he was playing around.
Steve Young too. Well, no, Steve Young was actor.
And do you know the thing that Bill Walsh said too? He said, "I get rid of you two years before you think you're done. Like, I got 2 more years. No, I get rid of you before I get rid of you when you start going downhill." And everybody was like, "What?" And they all
a real quick interesting thing. Do you know who Bill Walsh wanted to draft instead of Joe Montana, but never got the chance to?
This was
Phil Simms.
Oh, that's who he wanted, Phil Simms.
He wanted Phil Simms. Giants took him, taking Joe Montana, but he wanted Phil Simms as his quarterback. He thought that highly of Phil Simms. But anyway, so other coaches, Vince Lombardi, right? I mean, one of the greatest coaches of all time.
Don Shula.
I mean, Don Shula did have Joe Unitas when he won a championship. I mean, you want to say Knox with Pittsburgh?
Shula win?
Can you name a great coach?
Shula didn't win. Shula didn't win with Unitas. That was after they lost. Oh wait, did they win? Did he win with Unitas? I think it was
all three. Wasn't it? That wasn't Unitas. You're right. That wasn't Unitas, right? Yeah, that was after him. Okay, so he
greasy. He greasy.
Exception of the rule. Almost every great coach down the line has a great quarterback. Am I wrong on that?
Chuck Noll. Chuck Noll had Terry Bradshaw.
I said Knox. I meant Noll. Sorry.
No, I know.
Terry Bradshaw. You can't tell me he wasn't a great quarterback. Now, he won 4 Super Bowls. I mean, yes, he had tons of talent, but still won 4 Super Bowls, and he had made some good plays in those games. I mean, it was a different time. Yes, a lot of interceptions, but that was a different game then. They threw interceptions, but he was a good quarterback.
Yeah, and even Jimmy Johnson. I mean, I think they would have won 4 in a row. If they hadn't screwed that up, they would have won it. They would have won at least 3 in a row. And
Troy Aikman's in the Hall of Fame. And Troy was a good quarterback.
Not a great quarterback.
Around him, but of course, when you're a dynasty, you had tons of talent around you. That's makes you a dynasty.
Emmett Smith.
You're not going to be a dynasty without a ton of talent.
And Emmett Smith.
To answer that, yes, of course, Bill Belichick had Tom Brady. Do I think Brady wins the first 3 Super Bowls without him on defense? No. That St. Louis Super Bowl, they beat St. Louis. That was mostly defense. So it scored 12 points in that game. Right? 12-9, I think, something like that. And then the first Super Bowl,
13-3.
That was won by that defense against St. Louis. They shut down the greatest show on turf. The Panthers, that ended up being a high score, but that first half of the game wasn't high scoring. That play, if it wasn't for Belichick, that Seattle game, that interception,
that should never have happened.
Belichick, during practice, told Butler, this is a play they run. I've seen it. This is what you need to do. Without him being the defensive mind he is, doesn't step in and tell the player, this is the play they're going to run. They run that play, they get the interception. Now, yes, they scored points in that game, but that play was Belichick knowing what was, like, yeah, of course, maybe he doesn't win as many without Tom Brady, but once again, go down the list without Joe Montana, without Terry Bradshaw, without Troy Aikman. I mean, you go down the list without these guys, of course they don't win. But I don't think it takes away from Belichick being as great as he is.
You think Coughlin
without Belichick, Tom Brady doesn't win it. Yeah, he won one in Tampa Bay. What happened the next year?
Yeah, but I think that team was built for that year. And
it was built for that 1 year, but he won it. But once again, it was built for 1 year, and then, but long term, I don't think he wins without someone as smart as as good as Belichick. Able to get different players in there, and coaching matters, man. Tom Brady did not coach I don't think he called a single play on defense. I don't think he coached a single guy on defense, and those defensive, even still now, those defenses are good.
But for the Pats,
yeah, defense is good.
No,
it's not great, but it's still good.
I feel now he's gone away. The next man up thing isn't working anymore with Belichick. That's what I think.
The talent is way less than it used to be. But
and he hasn't drafted well. They said he isn't drafting well. No, I don't.
That's he doesn't draft well. He doesn't draft well. He shouldn't be drafting for that team. I mean, they don't get any offensive players in that team.
No.
Even a bunch of the cornerbacks, when he won, he had Darrell Revis. That was, a lot. He had Bruner, the cornerback that came over from Seattle. I think it was Bruner was his name. The other cornerback opposite Revis when they won. Maybe it wasn't Bruner. I forget. He was a former. He won. He was the second corner next to Sherman when Seattle won. He ended up going over to New England. They won that year.
Wait. Oh yeah, the big dude. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay, he is like 6'4". I think was it Bruner? Maybe it wasn't Bruner. I can't remember his name now. But he was 6'4". He's a big physical corner and opposite Revis. So he had to obviously cover. Was covering the number one guy, but that's because of Belichick's system of putting, which is so smart by Belichick. He puts his best corner on the number 2 and double teams the number 1. That way, double teaming takes that guy out, and then your number 2 is going against your best corner, absolutely takes him out. It's such a smart move that most coaches don't do. They put your best on your best, and sometimes you win it. Sometimes your best cornerback wins it. Like Plaxico Burress in 2007 against Al Harris. Plaxico Burress owned him in the playoffs, where if you double-teamed him and put Al Harris and someone else, maybe he doesn't do it because he's double-teamed. But Belichick, defensively, once again, is smart and thinks outside the box like that.
Well, you know what? Butler on that play where he got the interception, and I can't remember who he was going against. Butler wanted that ball more because the guy he was going against, he got through that pick.
Was that Lockett?
No, it wasn't Lockett. I'm looking up the roster. Because now you're making me think about who's on defense I'm trying to see who is on defense. It wasn't Leonard Johnson, Rufus. I'm looking. Dave Chandler Jones.
It was the Seattle Super Bowl. They beat Denver. It was that quarterback was on that team.
No. You're talking about when Pats beat Seattle.
Yeah, he was the cornerback on that team, yes. And but they were the cornerback then for the Patriots. But then when he was on Seattle, he was on them when they beat. I want to say it was Bruner. I want to think his last name is Bruner. If I can't.
No, I'm looking up right now because now you got me thinking. I'm like, what the? I know. I'm trying to figure out who the hell. So it wasn't Nate. Nate Ebner. That wasn't him. It wasn't one of the. I'm looking at one of the. Yeah, I can't remember who played. Terrell Brown, that wasn't him.
No.
And Patrick Chung was the strong safety. Justin Coleman, that wasn't him either. But Trey Flowers, it wasn't him. No, that was defensive end. So you think he was on that? Daron Harmon, but he was from Rutgers. That wasn't him.
No. He was on the New York Super Bowl where Seattle destroyed. That was Denver. It was the one where the Super Bowl where Seattle beat Denver. He was also on that team. I'm afraid that.
Oh yeah, the 43-8.
Yeah, that one. He was the cornerback on that team. Also for Seattle, he was in Seattle that year, and then he left. I believe it was that year he was with them.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't know who it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, that shit always bothers me. That stuff stays. It drives me crazy. I'm like, ah! I'm always like, God damn it, I know what you're talking about, and then I don't know you. I'm like, God damn it. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, all right. What time is it? Oh, God. All right.
Oh, wow.
Dude, we got to do this again. Anytime you want.
Yeah. I'll see you on opposite. Yeah, so I also have the nickname HTJ, just so you know, that's a nickname. So if you see that said in the chat by Josh or something, that's a nickname of mine. It's short for Hot Take Johnny, but
Oh, that's what he called you. Josh said that right off the bat. I didn't know what he was saying.
Yep, HTJ. That's what Aaron knows me as HTJ also.
Wait, what do they call you? Hot Take what?
Hot Take Johnny. So listen to DiPietro Rothberg in the morning. Dave Rothenberg said, I'm not some Hot Take Johnny throwing out just hot takes. And so that's what I made my Twitter name. It's just a fun thing. And so join the company because we're all fans of that show. So I just changed my Twitter name to Hot Take Johnny, just to, it's a fun thing. So everyone started calling me HTJ for short. So that's kind of what I became known as.
So I can use this because I'm going to tag you on all this stuff. So, but on Twitter, you're Hot Take Johnny, all one word.
Yep. Hot Take Johnny, all one word. You're on Twitter too?
Yeah, JD Talking Sports.
Oh, okay, yeah. I may follow you. If not, I'll definitely follow you, and I'll follow you after this if I'm not already. But yeah, Hot Take Johnny on Twitter. So you go on Twitter regularly?
Not as. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm always looking. I got a stack of cards. Plus, I have like 80 pages of notes just for tonight. I could have done it. I love that you came on because it was something different. But if I just talk to myself, so it's so great when I have someone to talk to, and no one.
We have a chat. If you like Twitter, we have a sports chat. There's like 50 of us in there, and we chat. All we do is talk sports, and we're in there just chatting. Me, Josh, Aaron's in there, but we just talk sports all the time in there.
Oh, wait, so
podcast. We got. If you want to go in there, we'd love to have you if you're interested. You don't have to chat. As little or as much as you want. We just we got fans of all sports, of all teams, and we just talk sports all the time.
Because Rob, this is what I want to do. I wanted to get all you guys together. I got 4 microphones and just do this. You guys follow this goddamn. No offense, you guys follow the show. You guys have so much to talk about. I would put you guys on. I do once a week with you guys where we'd have a couple. I can't believe.
I'd love to. So where are you again? You're in the city.
Yeah, but I have a car. I would come if I could find a place where we could all meet someone's house and just get together, and I'll put the mics together. I set everything up, and you guys just talk about everything, and it would be great because I said you guys are awesome. I mean, I love Josh listens to every goddamn show. Aaron listens to the show. I was trying to get more guys on. I mean, I was like, were you at the thing down the Jersey Shore over the summer? The shirt.
Beach Bash. Yeah, I was there.
Yeah.
Beach Bash. Yeah.
I was there.
Oh, you were there.
I was there.
Okay. Yeah. I went. Yeah. I was there. Yep.
Yeah.
I was there. I was also so Beach Bash also did a DiPietro Rothberg did a live show out in Long Island. We were at that. There's a Michael K show coming up, a Christmas party they're doing. A bunch of us are going to that. I don't think I'll be there. I got my kids, but a bunch of us are going to that. Yeah, we try to get together for stuff. We did ESPN just had a tailgate for the Jets game October 3rd or 8th or something like that. We did a great tailgate for it. I don't think Aaron was able to make that one, but we do great tailgates. We do food. We got a DJ, and we got generators, and we got Alan Hahn. If you know Alan Hahn,
I know Alan Hahn. Yeah, I know him.
He came over, hanging out with us. DiPietro comes over, hangs out with us. Bart Scott. They all know us. They come out and they talk sports with us. We love the live shows, and we would if we can put together some. Me, Josh. I know a guy, Kev, who lives near Josh, and would love to sit and talk. We all could talk sports. I would love to set that up. I know my schedule as far out in advance as I want. I know what days I have off because I work all 7 days, not 7 days in a row, but I work Sundays, Saturdays, overnights. But I know I can plan my schedule out for years.
Cam Chancellor.
Yes, that's his name. Cam Chancellor. Yep, that's him. Yep. No. He was Cam Chancellor was a safety. No, he was a safety.
He was a safety, but I'm
Yep. He was a safety opposite Earl Thomas.
Yeah, so not Earl Thomas. Cam Chancellor. Wright? No, that's a linebacker. Wagner. Fuck.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
I want to say. God, he was suspended too for 4 games for PEDs.
Well, it's Sherman, Byron Maxwell, Cam Chancellor, and Thomas for the 2014 team. So that's
14. That's when they. Isn't that when they lost to the?
No,
the Patriots.
14? No, 2014 when they beat Denver.
And who else? What were the other cornerbacks? There had to be more.
That's what I'm trying to look. Yeah, I'm just. Yeah, this is bothering. Really Jeremy Lane?
Maxwell was their slot guy. That was a key injury in the game against New England. He broke his wrist in that game in like the first or second quarter. He landed on it, he broke it back, and then New England started attacking. the slot because he was their slot corner, and they did not have a backup slot cornerback in that game.
Yeah, I see Steven Terrell. Yeah, not Josh
I want
Thomas.
to say it's Bruner, man. I could be wrong on that, but it's just for some reason that I wish I could. My phone. I'm holding my phone. I'm doing this on my phone. So.
I got three things going. So yeah. Listen, we gotta look. You gotta look it up. It's gonna drive me crazy. So look it up.
I can look. Give me a second. I got my computer. I'm fired. It's asleep, but I'll get it going right now, and I'll figure it out in no time. As soon as I see the name, I'll know it.
It's not Cam Chancellor.
I want to get this answer before.
I thought Cam Chancellor. I know he was a safety, but I thought he played on. No, he was on Seattle's whole career. You're right. So who played on?
Yeah, he was. Yep. Where's my? Here we go.
So you said he played on the Seahawks and then he played on the Patriots?
I'm pretty sure he played on the Patriots the year they won against Seattle. I'm pretty sure he did. Maybe I'm wrong, but my memory. Let's see. So what? Seahawks. Two hands. Seahawks versus Broncos.
Yeah, I see Jeremy Lane, Sherman, Al Dagey Jefferson, Byron Maxwell, Phillip Adams, Cam Chancellor, Jerron. No, it's not one of those guys. That's it. I'm looking at the whole. I'm looking at their whole defensive backfield.
And maybe it was the year. Maybe it was the year before when they were really good, and they maybe he left there before they.
Yeah, that's now. I'm like, who the hell?
Let's see, box score for this Super Bowl. Tackles on defense. Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, now I kind of want to know. I mean, now it's bothering me. Yeah, I'm looking at the starters.
I guess maybe it wasn't.
And it was a Cam Chancellor. How about Brandon? Oh, maybe Brandon Browner. That's who it is.
That's it. That's Brandon Brown. He was 6'4", right? And that's him.
That is him. And he played on New England.
He was on there.
He was on Seattle in 2013, New England 2014, and then he went to.
Okay. He was 13. They lost. That's when they. Yep. Brandon Browner.
Damn,
that's him.
You're good. And then he was out of the league. He was out. Then he was gone. I mean, he had a.
Yeah, he was suspended. Was he suspended once too?
Yeah, I think he was taking a little, getting a little help.
Beans.
We all take that stuff. Yeah, we always take that stuff. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. Tonight's one of those nights where you say you're not going to go out, and then you end up you're in Egypt. You're in Egypt middle of the night. That's what happened with you and I. I'm like, I'll do a little podcast. You come on. We're talking for 2 hours. We're like,
I was doing Mario Kart 64 from back. I was playing that, and I got the notification you were jumping on. I was like, I'll listen to it. And then I was like, and you said, hey, jump on if you want. You're talking college football. I'm like, yeah, I don't know enough. I don't want to jump on and sound like I don't know sports. And then once you said Aaron Rodgers, I was like, all right, I can jump in Aaron Rodgers.
You were like this. You were like, lock and load.
Yeah. So this has been great. I'm glad I jumped on.
Anytime. All right, man?
All right, sounds good.
Hey, have a good night. You're the best.
Too.
All right, take it easy.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right. And good night. And now.